Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
And welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today on a crazy, wild adventure we call Crime and Sports. And we've been saving this for almost 7 years now, this episode. It's one of the top requests, obviously, because he's just a giant famous guy. He's been in movies and been in, he's football. He's a giant star. And so we've had a lot. And he's my honest to goodness. We'll get into it. But my favorite player football wise of all time as a kid growing up and everything like that. So we saved him. And then this was going to be the last episode of Crime and Sports. But we already just talked about it last week, but everybody out there, you guys are, thank you for giving a shit about the whole show.
Yeah.
We were pretty overwhelmed, let's say. There was a lot of people were just like, the messages we got were so nice about ending the show. It wasn't a, like, you guys are dicks or, well, screw you then. It was people going, I'm just really sad. And it just, so many people were like, oh man, we're making people sad.
The flattery was incredible.
We should really try to do this. So we figured out a way to make it live. It'll be shorter and things like that, but it's going to pack just as much punch. Don't worry about that. We'll be back next week just like normal, and we're going to keep going. So, and we have a new show coming out, which we cannot wait to tell you about. We'll tell you about that in the beginning of 2023, and we're psyched for that. So we think you're going to love it. Quickly, though, before we get into it this week, the show, head over to, that's hard to say, why can't I say that? Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com is where you want to go.
Yeah.
That is where you're going to get tickets to live shows for Small Town Murder. The 2023 live tour is up, and definitely get your tickets for Cleveland on February 10th, St. Louis February 11th. Those are going very fast. They're the first two shows of the year, so that sort of thing. So definitely get in there. Thank you for everybody who's bought tickets. We cannot wait for the new tour. And then patreon.com/crime and sports is where you get all the bonus stuff, and Crime and Sports will continue on there just like normal. Every other week, you're going to get a Crime and Sports and a Small Town Murder. You get access to everything, anybody $5 or above. The whole back catalog, it's a lot. It's a lot. We keep pumping them out, so we cannot wait. This week, because it's Christmas, we're just going to do one Patreon. It's the one time a year. Every other time, it's always two. But this week, we have family stuff and all that, so we're going to have a nice, very funny, light episode that we've been talking about for a while. We're going to talk about our, Jimmie and myself, our worst comedy gigs of all time that we've ever been a part of. Just terrible things and biker bars and you name it, and we'll talk about it. Really weird situations where you're like, how is this? So we're all plugged in. There's an amp and a mic, and it's raining out, and we're outside, and that's going to be okay? No one's going to get, okay, yeah, let's do it.
All right with this?
Let's take our lives in our hands for $8. Come on, let's go. We'll talk about all that stuff.
Am I Prince at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, what is happening? All of that, and we will discuss our favorite and least favorite Christmas songs as well, since this will come out on Christmas Eve. Patreon.com/crime and sports is where you get all of that and more. And you get a shout out at the end of the show where Jimmie will just destroy your name if it's of any ethnicity whatsoever. And then even if it's not, he might fuck it up.
Oh, so, how white are you? We'll find out.
He'll screw it up. But do that. Get in there. We cannot wait. And let's get right to it since we have a lot of episode. Obviously, we have somebody who's been famous for about 40 years now. So it's It's a lot. Let's get into it with Lawrence Taylor, baby.
Hey.
Holy shit. LT, of course, Lawrence Julius Taylor is his full name. Known as LT, and I will say this right off the bat, that this is LT.
Yeah.
Not LaDainian Tomlinson, not anybody else.
There's only one.
If your initials are LT, don't call yourself LT if you play football. Yeah. If your initials are M and J and you play basketball, you're not MJ. You're just
Sorry
not.
about it.
Yeah. Even Magic Johnson wasn't MJ. You know what I'm saying? And he was MJ before MJ, but he still wasn't because there's only one. So sorry about that. Lawrence Taylor, and if you're not a football fan at all or outside of the U.S. or something like that, he's been in a ton of movies too. He's like Any Given Sunday. He's the guy, this is a memorable scene, I would say. He's the guy chainsawing a car in half. That's him. Like a psychopath. That's Lawrence Taylor, and not far off from his real life, for that matter.
Yeah. He's also the guy in The Water Boy who says, "Don't do crack."
Don't do exactly,
Very
making fun of himself.
ironically.
And then later on in the year, he was in rehab for crack that year, which we'll talk about. So, yeah, LT is you've seen him. He's one of those guys. You've seen him somewhere. Even wrestling, he was a fucking main event in Wrestlemania. Like he's been everywhere, from movies to main eventing Wrestlemania to winning the Super Bowl twice. He's been all over the place. And I must say, full disclosure at the top of the show here. Give you some things. Lawrence Taylor is my favorite athlete of all time because I don't really give a shit what he's doing off the field because that didn't affect me any. I was a child sitting in my house watching football, so whatever he was doing Sunday night didn't matter. Sunday afternoon, he was wrecking shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a good bonding experience. If I was watching a Giants game with my dad and Lawrence Taylor was hurting somebody, we were both very excited about that. We were both very excited about that. And also, I will say this, too. In my opinion, when you take, like, let's say greatest basketball players, like I take centers and put them in a separate category. It's greatest centers and then it's greatest other people because you can't compare someone who's 6'5" to someone who's 7'2" and can just fucking put the ball in the basket. It's not the same. It's just not the same. Everybody else plays one game, and centers have played another traditionally. So
I suppose that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't compare Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah.
You know,
now the big men do the same shit as these fucking
it's
the
boring.
Smaller guys do now. So we're going to end up changing that eventually, but you can't compare. You're right. You can't compare Rick Smits to fucking Stephon Marbury.
They're not the same.
Entirely different. Yeah.
Different animals, apples and oranges. The same thing with baseball. There's pitchers and then other people. Who's the greatest pitcher? You can't say who's the greatest baseball player and say it's a pitcher or say it's a non-position player. You have to say pitcher and then position player. Football is the same thing. Football is, you can't say greatest player of all time and say a quarterback. You can't. There's greatest quarterback of all time because it's not fair. They touch the ball every fucking play. They should make an impact.
Yeah,
literally the play starts with them with the ball in their hands, so they have a lot to do. Whereas somebody else who doesn't touch it as much can make a bigger impact. You have to take that separately than a quarterback. You can't compare Tom Brady and Marshall Faulk. How the fuck do you do that? You know what I'm saying? Or Emmitt Smith or somebody. So to me, I look at it. So take quarterbacks out. If you have the top 5 NFL players of all time, just top 5 players that were the most. That were a force, that were, otherworldly. I think 3 out of the 5, in my opinion, and you can put the 5 in any order, I think, and it's really, they're so close, it doesn't fucking matter at that point. But I think the top 5, you take 3 of the top 5 are Jim Brown. I don't think there's any argument there. He was a, man among children when he was playing. Walter Payton, because nobody's ever done everything perfectly like him before. Blocking, running, catching passes, never getting hurt in 12 years. That's ridiculous. Running backs miss games for injury. They don't.
He was hurt. He just played through it.
Walter
there's
Payton.
No way he wasn't hurt.
No, he just did it and was still just as badass. He was insane. And then Lawrence Taylor is in that top 5 as well, in my opinion. And I think in anybody's opinion with football, if you look at any of lists of top 100, LT's always in the top 5 because you can't watch him and go and not think that. You just can't.
Right. The game is the way it is today because of
he changed the game.
When the game has changed, You gotta.
Everybody's
for like that much. Yeah. That extreme.
He changed the way defense is played.
Yeah.
Period. Changed the way defense is played, and then on top of that, made offenses change the way they play.
Adjust. Yeah. Right.
Adjust, and made everybody else in the league go, "Oh, we got to get a fucking guy like that." Oh my God, he's just causing havoc out there.
That's the one.
So we'll get into all of that though, and like I said, I love Lawrence Taylor, so I'm going to, love his football exploits, but I'm not going to be cheering on the other things. Trust me. So. He's born February 4th, 1959, LT. So he's getting up there. He's got to chill out. He's got to calm down at this age.
He better lay low.
He's born to his parents, Clarence and Iris. Are his parents here. Grew up in a 4-room house. They have 3 sons. Lawrence is the middle child. Okay. Maybe that's where he gets... he wants to be noticed, I suppose. So,
or thinks everything he's going to do is not going to be noticed.
I don't know what it is, but he grew up in Williamsburg, Virginia, and maybe that's what it is. I'm not sure. Maybe he's trying to be just to stand out in some way. But you can want to stand out, but LT has like the way he can do it. Actually, he has the physical ability to do it. His father was a shipyard worker and didn't make a lot of money, so It was pretty threadbare. It was, they had basic needs. They had lights. Right. The lights were on. Food was on the table, but that's it. There's no extras. Right. The clothes are, you're wearing your brother's jeans this year. It's that sort of shit. So his father was a dispatcher at the Newport News shipyards, and his mother was a school teacher. So still not
very blue collar, very just
down to earth.
Yeah,
which is so funny because that's exactly the opposite of how you describe LT, who always was very flashy and
flashiest. Yeah,
he was.
But sometimes that creates that because if you
it makes you want it.
Never-ending, and this never-ending stream of financing for everything you want. Fuck, why not?
He was one of the first guys that I remember to wear earrings on the field.
Yeah.
Like under his
dangler.
Helmet.
Not just a helmet.
He had that lightning bolt always.
Yeah.
It was like, Jesus Christ, what are you doing? That seems excessively dangerous. His family calls him Lonnie, which is hilarious to me.
What?
Is that
short for Lawrence?
No, that's the other thing. But I just think it's hilarious that LT's walking around out there. He's the baddest motherfucker around, and there's a group of people who go, Lonnie, come here, Lonnie. It's just, that's
table's
not
over here, Lonnie.
Lonnie.
Somebody screams across an Applebee's.
Lonnie. Oh, we're here. Come on, Lonnie. Oh, good, Lonnie's here. We can order appetizers. Lonnie loves the egg rolls.
That's giant. Psychotic man with a lightning bolt dangler.
With coke eyes. He got into trouble as a youth a lot, which, again, not surprising at all, knowing what he's going to turn into here. His mother said, quote, he was a challenging child. He's a challenging adult, so it's fair. Where the other 2 boys would ask for permission to do stuff, Lonnie, he would just do it. And when you found out about it, he'd give you a big story.
Not even ask for forgiveness.
Nothing has changed for Lawrence Taylor. No, he was like a crackhead at 9. They just described a crackhead. He was like, hey, man, no, that money you gave me, I don't know what happened. See, check it out. There was his dog walking, right? Right? There's his dog walking, and I went down to pet him, and he jumped on me. I fell down. It landed on the grass next to me, fell out my pocket, right? And then the wind blew, and I'll tell you, it went right in the river, and it's gone now. So can I have another $20? What? What, Lawrence? The dog ate my 20. I thought you said it was in the river. It doesn't matter. I just need another 20.
Yeah, I threw the dog in the river after it ate it.
Yeah, I said, go get that 20. And then now I need a new dog, too. Can I get, because it's gone now. I need $20 and a dog. So Taylor explains it this way. LT says, quote, I couldn't spend money on candy and stuff. I didn't have it. He said, sometimes I had to steal to get what I needed. So that was that. He said that, and he was a good baseball player as a youth. He didn't play football till late. That's the crazy part. He
liked baseball.
Yeah, you look at a guy like him and you go, wow, he must have been playing football since he was 5. He seems to really know every little nuance and know all the little tricks of the trade. And nope.
He reinvented it. He had to know it from early.
Nope, not at all. He played base. He was a catcher of all things. You got a guy with this guy's speed, and you're like, put him behind the plate. Good coaching.
Stand still.
Good coaching. Yeah, not in center field where he can run side to side and track everything down. None of that shit. He's tall, he's strong, he's fucking fast. Put him behind the plate. Perfect. But he had a good arm, they said, so too he could throw runners out. Yeah. He began playing football at 15. He didn't play football till he was 15. Wow. Didn't play organized football till he was a junior in high school. A junior.
So he was just playing with his friends, goofing off at 15?
No, he wasn't playing much football, and when he was a junior, he wasn't even big. LT, when he's full grown, 6'3", 240, okay?
Yeah.
Big guy. And when he's a junior in high school, he's 5'10", 180 pounds.
That's me. I mean,
5'10"?
Yeah. Wishfully thinking.
Wow. I'm 6'7". Yeah, it's cool. So
we're roughly the same weight.
5'10", 180. His coach, Melvin Jones, at Williamsburg's Lafayette High School, said, at first the other kids were just head and shoulders above him, and I looked for him to pack it in any day. Thought he just quit because he sucked. Yeah. He said, quote, but he hung in there, and by the middle of his senior year, he was playing like he was possessed. Wow. So by his senior year, he's 6 foot tall, 210 pounds. He's a late bloomer athletically. He just, got all this athletic shit later. Nobody looked at him. Nobody recruited him.
Really?
Your junior year, you make noise, and then your senior year, people come out and look at you. That's kind of how it works. And for LT, his junior year, he didn't do shit. So
people expect him to quit.
Yeah, it was by the senior year, it was too late to get attention and then because back then it wasn't like now the communication is so much and there's videos. Back then it was, you'd have to heard about there's this kid down there in Williamsburg. Oh, really? Yeah. And then that would go to the next guy, and that's how it would work.
Now it's like, now it's crazy because it's, what's his last name? Did his dad play in the NFL? Then we'll come look at him.
Then no shit. Now that's half the NFL is just NFL players' kids. So stupid. So
Frank
weird.
Gore's son is playing now in
Everybody.
college. By the way, there's
Marvin
an amazing
Harrison's kid
video.
Is insane. He's
Frank
great.
Gore's son had some big game, and then he's standing in the center of the field, and this lady runs up to him and starts like screaming, and he goes, "Calm down, Auntie." You're doing too much, Auntie.
That's amazing. You're sure Frank Gore's not Italian? It's not Gore, is it? Because that sounds like if I was accepting some award on a football field, I'd be like, Ma, relax, okay? There's people here. We'll talk about, okay, I know you're proud. I get it.
Yo, Auntie, chill. I think that's what he said.
You're embarrassing me. I get it.
It's amazing.
That's fucking hilarious. They said, his coach said, quote, being a late bloomer, even Norfolk State didn't talk to the kid.
Really?
So he wasn't anything, quote, but one day a North Carolina coach came by the school just looking around. He was just in the area. When he saw Lawrence on film, he offered him a scholarship, even though his grades were right on the borderline.
Right now.
Yeah, right. He said, Jesus Christ, just look at the way he moves. I'll take him. LT not big with schoolwork. He always does just enough. Just enough to get by on the school. He knew what he wanted. He's like, the school means nothing when it comes to tackling people. I could tackle people. So he graduates from high school in 1977 and goes to North Carolina at Chapel Hill, Tar Heels.
Tar Heels.
Yeah. So 1977, team goes 8-3-1. They lose in the Liberty Bowl to Nebraska.
Okay.
So there you go. Now, here's some stories about LT, because who gives a shit about North Carolina football in the 70s? They said that his coach said, quote, having played only 2 years of high school ball, I'm not sure he had the respect of the guys at first. He wasn't like a football lifer type of guy. Yeah. So Lawrence felt that he had to prove himself and to act out the image he thought a football player should portray.
Right.
He said that image was mean and nasty. As a freshman playing on special teams, he'd jump a good 6 or 7 feet into the air to block a punt, then land on the back of his neck. He was reckless, just reckless.
Jesus.
He's a psycho. That's the thing about LT on the field, even in the NFL. There's no regard for anything. He's like letting an animal out of a pen, and they just like burst out and run different ways. They don't know where the fuck to go. Like, but there's
Does
no
it every play.
yeah, that's what, like a bull coming out. Like they're not thinking about, I don't want to hurt myself if I jerk this way. They're just jerking and trying to get a guy off of him. So on the field, his roommate Steve Streeter said Lawrence always talked about gaining respect, and we'd always juke him about how he wasn't going to get respect at this bar downtown. So one night, this is some Old West shit here. So one night, Lawrence walked into this bar and busted everything up. Chairs, glasses, everything.
Just broke it all.
He like it's Blazing Saddles. He just walked in and started busting up the bar.
For what?
Mongo, run! It's Mongo.
For why?
To get respect. Because they would make fun of him and razz him and say, "You're not going to get respect at this bar." "Goddamn right I will." And he went down there and destroyed it.
Is that respect?
He said that's what he thought it took to gain respect. The bar owner at the time said that Taylor threw a chair against the wall, but said other than that, he was generally well behaved when he came there. This was just one time he freaked out, and they were like, "What the hell happened there?"
Yeah.
And then he was fine after that. So for some reason in 1978, he doesn't play. I don't know why. He doesn't play in 78. Either way.
What position was he playing there?
That's the thing, okay?
Yeah.
He's playing defensive line.
Yeah.
At North Carolina, he plays primarily nose tackle. So
Is that right?
middle of the defensive line, down
Right in
lineman.
the center of the line.
Again, you're taking a guy whose speed is everything, and you're going, get down in a three-point stance, and then bash right into a huge guy, please. That's perfect.
See if you can get 4 or 5 inches ahead of you faster than the other guy can.
But he's so strong. He's freakish. That's the thing. 240 pounds. He has the strength of a 350-pound man. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You'll see him. There's these highlight reels. If you look up Lawrence Taylor highlights, there's ones where there's a 300-pound offensive lineman hanging off of one side of him, and he's just running with the guy while sacking the quarterback. So you're like, there's one highlight where he takes the left tackle and the running back, who are both trying to block him, and just put them both into the quarterback and tackles all three of them at the same time. You're like, how the fuck did you do that?
The closest that we have to like a real example is Jadeveon Clowney on that play at Ole Miss when he got through the line and then tackled the running back like with his helmet, just took his whole head off. LT did that every play.
Yeah, well, he did it in the pros. That's the thing.
Yeah,
he was doing it to the pros, not to some
Yeah.
guy who's selling insurance now. He's he's doing it to pros. There's plays where there's this one play on the highlight reel. It's on all of his highlight reels because it's fucking incredible. It's against the Lions, and I think it's Lomas Brown hanging off him. And if you know who he is, he's a very large offensive lineman, over 300 pounds. And Lomas is hanging off of one arm, and Lomas is straight holding him. At that point, when he would bust through, guys would just hold him to not get their quarterback killed. So they didn't give a fuck. They'll take the penalty. So Lomas is just like, I'm taking a hold. I don't give a shit. And LT just never slows down. He's got 300 pounds hanging off him. He grabs the quarterback who's in front of LT. He stepped up in the pocket. LT grabs him between the numbers of the back of the jersey with one fucking hand, and literally, I swear to God, he comes off of his feet, throws him backwards 5 feet onto the ground. I couldn't do that with anybody older than 4 years old. Like, I have a nephew that's 3. I could throw him a few feet from the back of his shirt. Like a couple years, kindergarten and up, it'd be difficult to throw someone like that. This is a 215-pound man. He just went, nope, you're going over there on your ass, kid. It was disturbing.
They have a few years of chicken nugs and hot dogs in them. It's a little harder.
It's a little harder, yeah. I've never seen anybody do that. There's another highlight where a running back is running by. He's got a full head of steam going up the sideline. LT is coming off a block, so he's pretty stationary.
Yeah.
As the guy runs by, LT grabs him by the back of the jersey, and this full-grown man, running back, who's at full speed, defies physics and stops completely short and goes backwards and flies backwards on his ass from a person in a standing position who grabbed him with one hand, Jimmy, with one fucking hand. You couldn't do that to a child.
Is that illegal now? Because
middle of the jersey you could do.
Right?
You can't horse collar. That's
Right.
up at the neck, but you can grab the middle of the jersey and pull somebody down.
That seems dangerous.
He would tackle people. No, you don't ever see anybody do that because no one can do that. No one can grab someone by one hand with the jersey and throw them down. No one, no one does that. No one does it, So 1979, the team goes 8-3-1. They win the Gator Bowl versus Michigan 17-15. Without LT, they go 5-6 with no bowl in 78.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's a force. His junior year, he had 80 unassisted tackles in 11 games.
Jesus Christ.
5 sacks and 7 fumble recoveries.
I mean, just put him in the NFL.
That's the other thing he does that's incredible when you watch a lot of his sacks is if he's got both hands, if there's not like an offensive lineman holding half of him,
right.
He hits you, wraps you up with the left hand while fucking swiping the ball out of your hand with the right. So it's the one hand comes over your shoulder and he's shoving you to the ground, the other one chops you, and the ball comes flying out. It's really disturbing, dude. His highlights.
That's the part that made the you've got to change eventually with that. When somebody's that much of an aggressive tackler, that's
and an aggressive crackhead later on. Yeah, and then aggressive crackhead later on.
Yeah.
He plays hard on and off the field is what we're getting at. So he changed the game though, and it's impressive. So
he's already got the sack, and now he wants to try to make a turnover too. Because if he doesn't get the turnover, it's still a sack.
It's still a sack.
Still fucking amazing.
And the other thing is, when he sacks you, he's definitely going to pop up and say some mean shit in your face, standing over you. And you never, ever once saw a quarterback get up and try to get in his face. They just put their head down I know. Nobody wanted to fight this fucking guy. He's insane.
Right.
He's insane. His nickname from his teammates was Godzilla in college.
That's good. Yeah,
he's just attacking the city. His roommate said, quote, he even had a bodyguard. If we were going to the club where there was a lot of people, Paul Davis, a teammate who now lives with Taylor and his family, would open the way up for him, saying, let Lawrence through. Once he was through, Taylor was determined to have a good time. He said Lawrence could put away a case on a night, of beer. Yeah. I mean, 24 cans of beer and still have a lot of spunk left. That sounds way different in England.
It does.
They'd be like, wow. Well, I would hope he would, unless he was fucking the beer.
Why would it dry up?
Yeah. He said, I've seen him do it. And if we ran out of beer, we'd start chugging wine. Sometimes we'd be up almost 24 hours doing that. Jesus.
Christ, chugging wine.
North Carolina teammate, or coach, Mel Foles, said, I thought he could have a drinking problem. At the Blue Bonnet Bowl in Houston his senior year, he showed up for practice early one morning with a hangover. Hell, I could smell it on him. So I just got on his butt and ran him more and more. Finally, he threw up. Okay.
And then he was fine.
And then he was okay. He didn't really go to class very often. He was majoring in industrial relations, which I don't even know what that is. Having sex in a factory? I don't know what that is.
some Eminem 8 Mile. He was a professional at that.
I guess
he banged
so.
Brittany Murphy on a fucking on a license plate presser.
Isn't that an old romantic soul song, Industrial Relations? We're gonna have industrial relations. I think Marvin Gaye sang that, didn't he? Isn't that a Marvin Gaye song?
It's a fascinating song.
Industrial relations.
He majored in that?
He majored in that. He didn't really go to class, but that was on paper, his major.
Yeah.
His roommate again said, we used to joke Lawrence about how the only time he'd come on campus was when it snowed so he could have a snowball fight. But Lawrence didn't need to go to class. All the women gave him all the notes he needed. So he'd just read a little bit here and there, pass the test, then go uptown and have a good time. Jesus fucking Christ. His coach again said, he's a very intelligent individual, but he was really there to have a good time. He was also a con man. He used to talk his way into and out of a lot of things with professors. He'd say, I had this problem, I had that problem. Most of the time, when I had to get a hold of him, I called the pool hall. I called the pool hall. Lawrence down there?
That's where he'll be.
He said that Lawrence wasn't worried about it ever, though. He said he would always say, don't worry about it, coach. I'll get my 2.0. The professor doesn't take roll. He won't know I'm not there.
He's aiming for a C.
Oh, he doesn't care. Yeah, I'll get my 2. That's what he needs to stay eligible. He doesn't
Yeah.
give a fuck. He knows he's going to be in the NFL. He said he was one kid about whom we just said, hey, we're not going to worry about it. He'll do it. He'll get it. He'll be eligible. Just don't worry about it. It's fine. So 1980, the team goes 11-1 and wins the Blue Bonnet Bowl, beating Texas.
Shit.
So that doesn't exist anymore, by the way, the Blue Bonnet Bowl. But
That's
it was in Houston. It's butter, isn't it?
Butter?
Margarine,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, that shit margarine. That's just oil.
Is it fake? Is it fake butter? Blue Bonnet?
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, it's that margarine shit. I don't know if they make real butter too. A
like
tub,
the country crock, right?
Yeah.
In the country crock style.
plastic
Yeah.
tubs. Yeah,
right.
plastic tubs that you can use as replacement plates if you're white trash.
That is a shitload of butter to
It's a lot.
sell to be able to sponsor a fucking college game.
You got to say, well, it's America, Jimmy. People were buying fake butter.
Good point. I mean, I can see selling a bunch of bad steaks for the Outback Bowl, but how much butter do you have to sell to sponsor?
An ass load. An ass load. Everybody uses butter, especially like in the Midwest and the South. The South is butter central, man. They don't know what olive oil. What the hell are you talking about?
I have it in the house, but I don't use a lot of it. I don't know.
Not margarine.
No
one should
I
use
use Tillamook.
margarine.
I use
don't
it's so
use
good.
margarine.
It's so creamy.
Margarine's not good for you. It's not. Butter's
No.
not great, but at least it's not made of plastic like margarine.
Right. Margarine was literally made because in the war they couldn't make butter, right?
Yeah. They were like, well, we can melt down this leftover plastic anyway to make food out of it. Sure.
What we have is the plastic bowls that the butter used to be in.
I got a pile of scrap plastic and some dry toast. Any way you could remedy this for me, and we could marry these two things together to possibly make
Melt
some.
down the old butter bowls, and there will be a hint of butter in it.
Yeah, it's something. It's something.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
Oh, man. LT, his senior year, has 16 sacks in 12 games.
Yeah.
That is something. That's a lot.
12 games?
12 games, he has 16 sacks.
What is that, a sack and a third each game?
Monstrous. It's scaring the shit out of the offensive.
Wow, man.
And you have to understand, this is a big thing when we talk about sack numbers now, because now guys have higher sack numbers, and people go, oh, that must mean they're better pass rushers. They drop back to pass 50 times a fucking game now.
Right.
Back then, that's not how it was in the NFL. Right. You had, the Dolphins would throw a lot and shit like that. But, the Giants in the NFC East, Washington didn't throw the ball that much. Right. Dallas had Tony fucking Dorsett. They ran the ball constantly. Their quarterbacks would be, 8 for 14. So you had 14 opportunities, and, 5 of those could be dump-offs. Nowadays, it's half the plays, more than half, are coming out of the shotgun with one back. who's not even a blocker, a back who's a fucking receiver. Back then, you're talking about fullbacks and tight ends and shit. Like it was a
first and second down were reserved for running, and then on third we pick up what's left.
Yeah, and everybody knew you were doing it. They had the blockers in there for you, and they would double and triple team Lawrence Taylor and shit. So it's not the same thing at all. If you put, it's just not. So he was the 1980 ACC Player of the Year and an All-American, of course, as well. Right. He didn't earn his diploma, though, because all he did was stay eligible. No. His coach said, quote, Lawrence told me he didn't need a degree. Yeah. He said, Coach, I'll make more. He told me. He said, Coach, I'll make more money playing football. And who could argue? As a senior, he ended up with 55 unassisted tackles and 16 sacks and 3 fumble recoveries. He just dominated. No way to stop him.
How many tackles?
55 unassisted.
Unassisted. So he was on more tackles.
Oh, yeah. That's you add in the assists, the combo tackles. But 1981 NFL Draft. Jimmie, who was the number 1 pick in the 1981 NFL Draft?
Dan Marino.
Absolutely not. He was in 83, and he wasn't till like 26 or 25. He was picked by the Dolphins. Watch From Elway to Marino, that fucking documentary.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Number 1, Jimmie. I need one more guess from you. Who you got?
Joe Montana.
No, he was 79, I think. But
God
all right.
Damn it.
George Rogers he won the Heisman that year.
Did he?
Yes, he did, and he was a running back for the New Orleans Saints. A good running back, a very serviceable, good running back, but not a number 1 overall draft pick. Not that.
Is he in the Hall of Fame now?
No, that's the thing. Number 2 overall, he's in the Hall of Fame. That's Lawrence Taylor to the New York Giants.
They chose George Foster? Was that his
Rogers?
name?
George Foster's the player, the baseball player. George Rogers, because of LT's character concerns, they said they didn't want him, New Orleans. So,
wow.
Yeah, I'm sure every quarterback they had for the next 10 years was like, thanks a lot for that. Yeah, character concerns. Great. He just put his helmet in my rib cage. Appreciate that.
He stayed in the NFC, though, whether he goes from the Saints or the Giants. It doesn't matter. But
it doesn't matter.
Good for the Giants to draft him and get him
they were
this
drooling.
whole fucking time.
This is Bill Parcells is the Giants' defensive coordinator at this point in time. Bill Belichick is the linebackers coach.
Oh, wow.
So he's LT's first coach is Bill Belichick.
41 years in the NFL.
Yeah, he's been around forever. Number 3 overall, Freeman McNeil to the Jets. Good running back for the Jets in the 80s. He was, their main guy. Number 4, another Hall of Famer, Kenny Easley, the Seattle defensive back. Then you got E.J. Jr., Rich Campbell, Hugh Green. Number 8 overall, another Hall of Famer, Ronnie Lott.
Hey.
Ronnie Lott was a bad man. He was awesome.
Did he go to San Francisco?
Yeah. Went to San Francisco, played there for about, 10 years. And then a lot of good, decent players drafted. But second round, you get a couple more Hall of Famers, 3 of them, as a matter of fact. Second round, well, number 1, not a Hall of Famer, but you got old Chris Collinsworth here.
Really?
At number 37.
Dude, I saw a video that I got to send you. It's gross. Of him dating in Cincinnati when he was a wide receiver there. He was James, he said, and girls from 14 to 18 really like me. What did you just say, Chris? He said when they mature, then they realize that I'm not what they thought I was. What? Say again, Chris?
Jesus Christ.
Chris, did you just say you dated a 14-year-old?
I think Jimmy Savile had that same quote, didn't he? That's disgusting.
I don't know.
I don't like that at all.
Vile,
that's disgusting.
Chris. We've got that dickhead on Sunday smiling, acting like he's America wholesome. Ew.
He always looks drunk to me. Look at his face. Whenever he smiles, it looks like that dude had like 4 gin and tonics, right? And then came here.
The video. His hair doesn't match his eyebrows, so he was dyeing his hair in fucking 84.
That's weird as shit, too. That's strange.
He's a creep.
The pick after Chris Collinsworth is a Hall of Famer, though. That is Mike Singletary of the Bears picked at that point. Number 48 overall to Oakland, Howie Long, another Hall of Famer picked then. And then another Hall of Famer at pick 51, Ricky Jackson to the Saints. So
pretty much everybody that was in the longest yard.
All of them, yeah. But that's 6 Hall of Famers in the first 2 rounds. That's not bad.
Wow.
It's a pretty good draft. The night he was drafted, he says that he drank 41 beers to celebrate on draft night.
41?
That's just how many he ended up drinking. It wasn't like, I'm going to drink me 41 beers. It was just
all that was left.
Yeah. In a 1981 interview, he said that he was very tempted by what he said was, quote, women, drugs, money, everything.
Sounds awesome.
He said, that turns me off. I used to try a little of this and a little of that until I got real sick. With better judgment, I learned to stay away from it. So he's saying, I've dabbled during college and stuff, but I've come out the other side by now. I know better. I'm good now. No,
I just drank 41 beers. I'm okay.
I'm good.
Everything's fine.
Fine. Oh, my God. He signed a 6-year, $1.35 million contract that included a $250,000 bonus.
What a steal.
Back then, that was a great deal. Anytime. Out of the bonus, he paid a $100,000 fee to his agent, gave $10,000 to certain members of his family, each that needed it, bought a 3-bedroom house for his parents, and began sending $700 each month to his mother, quote, for being my mother. That's sweet. Hired her as part of, LT Corp. So that's her job. Be my mom.
She's the mom.
Be my mom. A lot of people do that. A lot of athletes do, because you have, and there's certain tax things where you're allowed to basically give family members money, a certain amount, and then you can tax-free, and you can hire them to, whatever. So 1981, rookie season. All right, we got to start off right away. He comes in like a bat out of fucking hell here. Phil Simms, the quarterback and current broadcaster, and was the Giants quarterback for, I think, from 79 till 92, 3 when he retired.
Also has a son who plays.
Also Chris Simms, who I think got his spleen lacerated or some shit at one point and had to stop playing.
He played for Denver for a little bit.
He played for a bunch of people. Yeah, Tampa, I remember him for a while. He said, Phil Simms, back then, rookies and quarterbacks went to camp a week earlier, and we had a scrimmage. So this is just for rookies and quarterbacks. He said they had to take Lawrence out of the scrimmage after no more than 10 minutes. I don't even think it got that far, because he sacked the quarterback on every single throw. Not some, every throw. I can remember the quarterback was Cliff Olander, and he was going crazy. Can somebody block him? And no, Cliff. He said, no, Cliff, nobody can block him. I remember Coach Ray Perkins just going, take him out, so they could evaluate some of the other kids because they couldn't get plays off.
Yeah. He's all scrimmaged up. It's fine.
It's fucking ridiculous.
He doesn't need this.
Every drop back, 2 seconds later, this guy's on top of him. They're like, okay, I can't tell if these receivers are any good because no one can get them the ball.
Because that guy's too good.
Because he's on top of them. Here is Bill Belichick on Lawrence Taylor. And Bill Belichick, if you're not a football fan, is a pretty accomplished head football coach, I would say.
He's done fine.
He's got like a drawer full of rings from multiple organizations. He's done pretty well.
They say that Messi this week after the World Cup finished football. That's what they've been saying about him.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck that means. He's gotten every award possible. That's what Belichick has done. He's finished football.
He's done pretty goddamn well for himself. Yeah. And even like people will say, well, he's not good without Brady or whatever. Well, he made the decision, hey, I'll keep this 6th-round draft pick in over our star quarterback, and we'll, you know what I mean? So coaching-wise, he's a pretty good coach. And one thing I like about Belichick is I used to go, why is he dressed like a scumbag on the sidelines? And then I heard why. It's protest.
Yeah, it's fuck your suits.
He wants to wear a suit. And you're not allowed to wear a suit on the sideline. Yeah. You have to wear. He's like, so I'm not allowed to wear a suit, but I can wear a bummy sweatshirt.
Look homeless.
That's why he does that. He wants to show exactly how ridiculous he's allowed to look while he's not allowed to wear a nice suit. So I love that personally. I think that's great. Here, look how stupid you look. So Belichick said, quote, first practice. He played on all 4 phases in the kicking game, so he was hard to block on punt protection, as you can imagine. We didn't use him too much there. He was the gunner on the punt team. He was impossible to block. He played the middle on kickoff return, and he had some of the biggest hits I've ever seen. He played safety on the kickoff coverage, and you were never really concerned that they were going to get it too far, past the 30 or whatever.
They played that unhinged lunatic on special teams?
On special teams, dude. Imagine that. I watched one highlight.
Running full speed at you.
Yeah. I watched one highlight where the punt comes in and the whole team's behind him and he's just standing over the fucking guy waiting to receive it. And there's like 8 guys, but they're 10, 12 yards behind him. He got there way faster. And that's the thing. Measurables-wise, they say he runs a 4.5 40, which
that's pretty good.
Is pretty good for a 245-pound, 6'3" guy.
Right.
And especially in 1981, that was unheard of. That was like, that's not even fair. But the thing about LT is that's what he runs in the 40. But if he's chasing someone who runs a 4.3, he runs a 4.29. You know what I'm saying? If he were chasing someone that runs a 4.4, he's running a 4.39. He will catch your ass, period. He's going to get you. So he says, so he dominated from the first play day of practice. Playoff game against Philadelphia, he really was the difference in that game, just uncovering punts. But there's nobody I could really put in his category that I've coached. There may be others that I haven't coached, but I mean, he's head and shoulders above whoever the next player is. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty big compliment of like, it's him and then you can argue about it. He said, and I've been fortunate to coach a lot of great defensive players, but when you talk about Lawrence Taylor, that's a whole different conversation. I mean, honestly, he could have played any position on the field except on defense except corner. Actually, he probably could have played corner too, but safety, linebacker, inside, outside, defensive end, defensive tackle. He played nose guard at North Carolina, so you can put him wherever you want.
Yeah.
And that's the thing also about Lawrence Taylor. If he was a tight end, he would have been the greatest tight end in the history of the fucking NFL. Imagine him blowing off the line with blocks, knocking people over, running down the field. He's insane. He would have been he could have played as a fullback. Imagine him lead blocking for people. Holy balls, that would be dangerous.
Leaving cleats on the field.
That would be so much fun to watch. He said, in defensive meetings while we're studying film, all of a sudden Lawrence will say, Bill, run that play back again. And I'll realize he's looking at some guy 20 yards away from the ball, a wide receiver who was knocked off the screen by a defensive back. I've seen him get his thrills watching one of our own guys get dusted. He just likes violence. That's all there is to it. He enjoys
Here's a 2-yard run. Yeah, but look out there. That guy is bleeding now.
Look at that. Yeah. I can't remember what coach it was, but there was an interview with one coach where he talked about, they asked him, because he had coached or, was in the NFC East and against Reggie White and against Lawrence Taylor. And Reggie White is an amazing force of nature, obviously. And he said, well, who's better, Reggie White or Lawrence Taylor? This was, late 80s. And he said, well, Reggie's 6'5", 300 pounds. So, I mean, he's bigger and stronger, but Lawrence is 10 times faster. So that all evens out. All the physical stuff is even. You got a strength guy and a speed guy. He goes, but Lawrence is 100 times meaner. He goes, I take him. He wants to run you over, get in your face, and then get back to the line as soon as possible and do it again. Whereas
Reggie White minus Jesus is what he is.
Reggie White's, they're saying he's a nice guy out there. He's not trying to hurt anybody. LT wants to hurt everybody. Like, that's who you want. You want the guy causing destruction. So he said that here we go. A player like Lawrence was such a special athlete, but a really special player because of his awareness and instinctiveness. Taylor had the ability when he stood on the end of the line of scrimmage, which is where he played as an outside linebacker defensive end. He could just tell. It didn't matter who the person was or what type of play it was or anything else. He could just tell by the look of the opponent on the other side of the line of scrimmage who was going to block him, and that was because of how scared they were. He knew who was
piss in their cleats.
He knew who was assigned to them because he looked uncomfortable.
Yeah,
that's exactly who it was. So he go, okay, that's my guy right there. He said that he knew offensive linemen were scared of him, and that so he could just read people. He said when that tackle was looking at him like, if I'm 1 split second late out of my stance, if I'm a few inches off on my angle or step, this guy's going to be behind me. They'd have that scared to death look, and Taylor could just tell by looking at the guy whether he was going to block him or not. Quarterbacks, too, said that Taylor said he knew if it was a passing play right away. Every play, he said, I always knew if it was a passing or a running play. He said because they'd look over scared shitless at him.
Where's he? Yeah.
Whereas on a running play, it's not their problem, so they don't give a shit, and they don't look scared. So he goes, he could tell exactly by the quarterback what was going on. which is
God damn it, that's incredible.
That's incredible. No one else does that. Belichick said the same thing with the quarterback. Taylor would anticipate it was a run because the quarterback didn't care about him. It was somebody else's problem. But if it was a pass play and the quarterback looked at Taylor like, is he rushing? Is he not rushing? Do I have him picked up? With coverages. He said before the ball was snapped, he could just tell by the terror he felt from that individual. Look in the guy's eye or how nervous he was from play to play. Run, pass, which guy's blocking me, that sort of thing. He would oftentimes come off and tell me that after the first or second series. He said, I can read this on every play. It's easy because of the tackle. If he had him in pass protection, was scared to death. So that's amazing. Team goes 9-7, and they were one of, I think, bottom 3 defenses in the NFL the year before, and they were in the top 3 this year. So one guy makes a huge difference.
One psychopath, and all of a sudden you're doing great.
Well, it changes everything else. Now everybody else's responsibilities are a lot easier because they're so scared of this guy. And if you have to double cover one guy, oh, great. Now there's 10 of us on 9 of you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good. So they go to the playoffs at 9-7 and beat Philly in the wild card round. He ate Ron Jaworski for fucking lunch all the time. You watch his sack stuff. There's so many highlights of him just blowing Ron Jaworski out of the water. Like I felt Jaworski must have really.
Somebody in Philly would say.
I did. I couldn't help it. See, it's right there.
Right out of the water.
Water.
But Ron is a fascinating character who, after football, he might be the least athletic-looking person that played football.
Yeah. He looks like someone's dad who maybe played in high school.
It's hysterical to see him and then be like, that guy is telling me so much about football, and I don't believe it.
Yeah, he looks like he sells wholesale farm equipment. Like not down at the farm, but like wholesale. He sells it like from the
at a
dealership.
Tractor Supply.
Yeah. That's what he looks like. He's like the general manager of a tractor supply company.
Hilarious how little respect he has earned from me.
It's true. Somebody out there, make us a Photoshop of Ron Jaworski in like a polo shirt with overalls on over it. That like he's managing a tractor store. Like, listen, I know I'm down to earth, but I still got to have the polo shirt on. I got to do inventory at the end of the day.
Tell me about the new features on this John Deere. Ron.
Come on. Let's do it.
Ron Deere.
Ron Deere. Oh, Christ. So San Francisco beats them in the next round 38-24, though. So now
San Francisco then was incredible.
They were becoming a dynasty that year. Now, sacks are not an NFL stat this year.
Right.
They still don't count as a stat.
Okay.
There's no NFL stat. But judging by what they went back and counted up, they said he had 9.5 sacks that year. That didn't count for anything. And he becomes the only rookie ever named the league's defensive player of the year.
Really?
The only rookie at the time ever to do that. That's fucking amazing.
How many have done it since? It can't be many. Fuck.
I can't imagine to be a force like that, defensive player. Not just like, hey, he's a fun player. Like, he's the best defensive player in the fucking league, and he's a rookie is ridiculous. That's not right. He said, I don't like to just wrap the quarterback. I really try to make him see 7 fingers when they hold up 3. In other words, I want to knock him into stupidity.
I'm scrambling eggs today.
Yep. I'll drive my helmet into him, or if I can, I'll bring my arm over my head and try to axe the son of a bitch in 2. That's what he does. He comes down on you like that. See guys crumble.
Axe the son of a bitch.
In 2. So long as the guy is holding the ball, I intend to hurt him. If I hit the guy right, I'll hit a nerve and he'll feel electrocuted. He'll forget for a few seconds that he's on a football field. He's trying to hurt you.
He's causing neurological damage.
Yeah, this is, I want to kill on every play.
Purpose.
This is awesome. That's crazy. Also, his rookie year, another thing he finds, in addition to the quarterback a lot, is cocaine. He finds cocaine, and does he love cocaine? Oh, God. He found the frick to his frack, man. It is just the yin to his yang. He found it all right here. It's cocaine, baby. Best friends forever.
Yeah.
Just going down the street on a tandem bicycle together. Just him and cocaine.
Him and some yay.
Him in the front and a little vial behind him in the back seat there. Just riding along. He would pass the NFL's drug tests, but he would do that by obtaining teammates' urine and just submitting it that, hey, piss for me? They'd be like, sure, you're the defensive player of the year.
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want. We made the playoffs. So they make sacks a stat for the next year. So sacks are a thing.
Do you think, James, him trying to make the quarterback feel electrocuted, do you think that's what the lightning bolt's about?
I think it's also speed. He's a lightning bolt is what he thinks. It's all a lightning bolt. I think everything with him is
lightning.
The coke is lightning. The running is lightning. The axe is lightning. It's all lightning. It's all lightning.
He's snorting white lightning. He's running like lightning.
This is his definition of a sack, by the way.
Okay. All
Quote,
right.
a sack is when you run up behind somebody who's not watching. He doesn't see you, and you really put your helmet into him. The ball goes fluttering everywhere, and the coach comes out and asks the quarterback, are you all right? That's a sack. Fucking somebody up good.
Hitting a defenseless person.
That's a sack.
Fucking suckering him. That's a sack.
To the point where we're not sure if he's still healthy. That's a sack. A defensive back here, Beasley Reese for the Giants, he said, quote, I've seen quarterbacks look at Lawrence and forget the snap count. Oh. That's wild right there.
And they just got it in the fucking huddle.
Yeah. He said there's one opposing quarterback couldn't find. The first thing they would all do, every quarterback would get to the line, look around and find LT because he would wander. So they'd find LT, and then you'd have to call a blocking scheme for LT depending on where he was. So they go LT this way or 56, that 56 here, 56 there. So they were always looking for LT. Well, this quarterback fucking panicked because he couldn't find him. He was looking and he couldn't find him, so he called timeout. He just called timeout. LT was on the sideline. He wasn't in the game. But this dude shit his pants and panicked and was like, oh, my God, if I don't timeout. Yeah, never mind. And they were like, dude, but that's how in his head he was. He wasn't even in the game. That's crazy. So they said that I think I saw it more with Harry Carson said this. I think I saw it more with the quarterbacks in our division. They knew enough to be afraid, but every quarterback had a certain amount of fear when they played us. So
and for credit to LT too, because he made other players better. Because when every team is focused on you, it gives the other players a chance to shine too.
Shit,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? Yeah. So when they got two people chasing you around, that leaves somebody free. And I guarantee you, Harry Carson benefited from that.
Harry Carson, Gary Reasons, Pepper Johnson, all these guys. Yeah, they were. Yeah. That's why they were the big blue wrecking crew. They called the linebacker unit because it was Carl Banks. It was LT, and then the other guys, did their thing, so it made it a lot easier.
Fucking Hall of Fame because of that. Good for him.
He was a great player, Harry Carson. He really was. So LT said, they come to the line of scrimmage, and the first thing they do is start looking for me. I know, and they know. When they'd find me, they'd start screaming, 56 left, 56 left. So there's this thing I did. After the play was over, I'd come up behind them and whisper, don't worry where I am. I'll tell you when I get there. That's disturbing.
Haunting.
Jesus. From an interview later on, they said, when you entered the league, did you know you'd be a Hall of Fame player? And he said, it's not that I knew I would be a Hall of Fame player, but I remember when the center who wore 56, which that's his number, Jim Clack, retired. And so they gave me that number, or I took that number. And then he unretired, and they wanted him back for like 3 or 4 games, right? I remember the older guys, Brad Van Pelt, Harry Carson, Brian Kelly, came to me and said, listen, can you give Clark back his number and take another number? George Young said, no, he's not going to do that. He's not going to take 50. He's going to take that 56 all the way to the Hall of Fame. And that's when I was a rookie. Not that I thought that was possible, but as time went on, it became possible. So 1980.
So did Clack end up picking a different number? Is that what happened?
He had to pick a different number. They said, no, that's him now. He's 56.
57, whatever.
Whatever. And then LT 56. No one else ever wore it for the Giants. It's retired. The Giants don't have a lot of retired numbers. They keep it pretty tight. It's hard to retire football numbers because you have like 56 guys on the team at all times.
There's only 99 numbers.
There's only 99 numbers, so it's you got to be real picky with who you retire. It has to be Hall of Famers. Can't just, we really like that guy. Not enough.
Tough shit.
82 comes around. In early 82, he has a son. A son is born.
Already.
You know it's going to be, of course it is, Lawrence Taylor Jr., of course.
Unbelievable.
Lil LT. Now, during this time, Michael Jordan is at North Carolina, becoming a monstrous basketball star there, and that's also LT's alma mater. Mm-hmm. And so LT would go back all the time to campus and, just hang out, mix it up, and he would love to play pickup basketball. He's an athlete, so he loved to play pickup basketball. So Jordan's college teammate and roommate, his name is Buzz Peterson, which is
Of course.
Buzz Peterson. Yeah. I think he works for Ron Jaworski selling farm equipment, doesn't he? I'm going to pass you on to my pal Buzz Peterson. He's going to take good care of you. Don't worry about nothing. He knows. No. He knows every piece of equipment in here as well as I do. I'll promise you that right now. He's my top guy.
Now you've bought the Ron Deere. Now you got to take it over to Buzz to get the accessories put on. You got to put on the light bar and
the Ron Deere.
Yeah.
Did you say Ron Deere?
Yeah.
That's John's brother. John's brother. He's trying to compete. I know you brought Joe. I know you meant Ron Jaworski, but Ron Deere. I just pictured a guy going, "My shit's good too. I make it a different color. It's orange. All my things are just
the John
orange.
Deere that's green. You got the Ron Deere that's orange.
It's all orange. It'll cut shit and does things."
And Buzz sells the accessories for it.
You can sit on it while
tires.
Yeah, you can sit on it while you make a country music video. It's fine. So, Buzz Peterson said this. There is one guy that I always thought, and I know to this day, I don't know if Michael will admit it or not, but I swear he had a little bit of fear of, and it wasn't a basketball player. It was a football player by the name of Lawrence Taylor. LT, phenomenal athlete, could guard east to west, meaning we're talking basketball now.
Yeah.
Could guard east to west as quick as anybody, could jump, big hands, strong, and was a bit crazy. So Michael, in the back of his mind, said, shit, I better be careful with this guy, and LT always wanted to guard him. Who's the best? I want him.
That's my guy.
That's awesome. March 29th, 1982, his former girlfriend and mother of Lawrence Taylor Jr., files suit against him in Orange County, North Carolina, seeking support payments for the child he's fathered.
For Lil T.
He just gave him his name and walked away. Poof. Good. That's your name.
Yeah.
The case, while it's being litigated, he just married another girl that he was going out with from college, Linda Cooley, who will be Linda Taylor after a while, bought a gold Mercedes, bought a big house, did his whole big thing here. He's just like, I don't care about that. I'm doing this.
He made a baby with a woman and then did life with this one.
Oh, yeah. He would go, he loved this bar, too. He would hang out at the Bench. It was a place near Giant Stadium. And women would just be, love to be gyrating all over him and hanging on him and shit here. Brian Kelly, a linebacker, said this is where everybody on the Giants team went. It was the first stop. They said after games, after practice, you stop and have a few beers. You go on any team, and as soon as practice is over, I guarantee you that 10 or 12 players will go to a certain place and drink. Yeah, they go, okay, let's go unwind now.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer. I can really show you how to make some money. And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis.
But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
So Taylor ended up establishing a close relationship with the bar's manager, Vinny Ravo.
Yeah.
R-A-V-O. He said, now Vinny will say, quote, Lawrence and I have gone out, taken vacations together, and socialized together. His family has been to my house for Christmas. He comes over for Christmas. Yeah. He's the godfather of my second-born son. Like, right. He didn't say that, but it's very, very Italian and overdramatic. I've been out to dinner with him many times. We're very close.
Right.
Let me tell you that right now. We're fucking close, pal.
He tells everybody this.
Yeah, let me tell you. There's the picture of him and Lawrence Taylor is right behind his desk in his office. Yeah. And be the back
he introduces himself as Vinny, LT's friend.
You know my friend Lawrence Taylor? I was with Lawrence Taylor. You know Lawrence Taylor, right? Bill Parcells, though, is pissed off about this because Vinny has a criminal record, including felony convictions for larceny and receiving stolen property. He's a fucking, he's
mobbed up. Yeah.
He's a ne'er-do-well. Not even that. He's just kind of a hanger-on to that sort of thing. He's an underworld character, is what Bill Parcells thinks. Anyway, that's what he owns a bar in Jersey and he's doing stolen property. There's
Vinny.
His name's Vinny. There's certain clues that you get. And he was convicted after police found a stolen, fully loaded 9mm handgun under a floorboard in his attic. So they said Giants coaches knew that the bench has all the possibility of becoming a bad joint and a type of joint where drug guys would hang out. That's what Leonard Marshall says, the defensive lineman.
One-word lounge? It's
bench.
frightening.
Yeah. The bench. That means come here, players. And he said that he told the players, don't make yourself too visible in this place. Marshall described it as, quote, a strip joint where a lot of guys go to have fun and laugh and get as drunk as possible. Well, that's nice.
Bada-bing.
It's the bing. That's it. That's what I mean. Hey, Vin. Yeah. Vin.
Vinny at the bench.
Jesus Christ. Now, Vinny's lawyer, Miles Feinstein of Clifton, New Jersey, said Vinny has nothing to do with drugs. If Taylor had any problems, Vinny's not responsible. Hey, see this? This is Vinny. You know what he is? Not fucking responsible. Get out of here. You hear me? He's not responsible. Look at him.
Runs a respectable joint.
Look at his face. That's the face of a man who's not fucking responsible. Let me tell you something. So, yeah, they hung out there. Now, one thing, they said there's a lot of people who hang out at this bar. One of them that hangs out at the bar is Frank. What was this? Oh, Frank Scaraghi, who was identified as a major sports betting figure. He's a fucking bookie, and he's a Genovese family associate and a bookie. And John DiGilio, who's a customer at the bar as well. And they said that, quote, Vinny doesn't throw people out and say, hey, are you a member of organized crime? So people come in. It's a bar. It's open to the public. He can't help who hangs out here.
Right.
He can't help if Big Pussy and Paulie Walnuts are coming over for some drinks. He's just running a respectable establishment here. I don't understand it. And Vinny said he is not associated with any illegal activities, and it was 40 years ago. We don't know. He said, I think Parcells is a fat hyphenated epithet. That's what he said. I wish you could put that in the paper. I think he did, because you didn't curse. You said hyphenated epithet.
Unless they said fat fuck and they didn't put that in.
He said, I wish you could put that in the paper. I know he had to look like, oh, you don't even know.
That fat fuck. You know what? Say it. Just type it.
He goes on to say, I don't really give a damn because I'll spit in his face. About Bill Parcells. LT's a friend of mine, so what's the big deal? My bar isn't the only bar LT's gone into. He must have been in 500 bars. He's a fucking drunk. What are you? Now he's throwing LT under the bus here.
Yeah, what is that about?
Vinny was awaiting sentencing here for a stolen property charge and all this type of shit. Taylor at the same time is being questioned about his assets by a lawyer, by the depositions representing his former girlfriend here. Taylor said of the financial interest he has in his agent's company, it's like a savings account. It's my money. They keep it there. I get some interest on it, around 15% maybe. In other words, they hide his money here so she can't get it. And then he gets an unreasonably high rate of return on this investment money. So that's pretty good. He also has a horse ranch that they invested in for him.
Really?
He said, I guess it's a horse farm, a breeding farm.
They growing horses out there or something.
Well, listen to how he finishes his sentence. I guess it's a horse farm, a breeding farm. Not a breeding farm, but just a place where they graze and stuff. What, a retirement home? Just a hangout? Like, what are we talking?
It's called a corral. It's where they store your horses, LT.
They said, well, what's the name of it? He said, I don't pay attention to that.
I don't know.
He doesn't even know where it is, what it's called, or what the fuck the horses are doing there, which is fine.
Yeah.
Then he said, quote, I might not play at all this season. I might be tired of football. Now he's saying that he might be done after his rookie year.
I might be exhausted now.
I might be out. So Vinny gets convicted, and while he's being sentenced, he asks his friends to write letters of support for him, especially famous ones like Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
So Lawrence Taylor writes on Giants letterhead, mind you, by the way.
God.
Took it from the office here. Quote, I have had the sincere pleasure of knowing Vinny for the past 3 years. I am aware of his family life and his relationships. Based on that knowledge, I must tell you that he is a sincere, and he used sincere twice in 3 sentences, and devoted man who is a hard worker and cares very much for his family life at home. Vinny has always been there when I needed him for personal advice or just someone to talk to. I can trust him with my life because he's always been, to me, an honest, sincere, and kind person. I think it would be a tragedy to have this man go to jail. Please consider this before you sentence him, and I know you will do what is right. Or I'll come to your house and put my helmet in your ribs, is what that sounds like.
That last one sounds like a threat.
It's what I mean. That's what a mob guy would do, is he taps your cheek lightly and go, I know you'll do what's right. You're like, in other words,
I know you do the right thing.
I'll break your legs if you don't do the right thing, what I want you to do. And that's what I want you to do, by the way. Vinny gets sentenced to 3 years in prison, and he serves 10 months of that. So Linda, at one point during this time, has to pick Lawrence up from a crack house. Or back then a coke den. It wouldn't really be a crack house yet, but yeah. 1982, Taylor refuses to show up at training camp for the Giants during the summer unless his contract is renegotiated.
Holding out.
You said it was a steal, and it was a steal, and he knew that. And finally, the Giants said, well, we'll discuss it after the season, and LT said, okay, fine. That was enough. That was enough give for him to save face and come to camp and not look like an idiot.
You're willing to talk about it? All right, then I'll come play.
So only 9 games in the season this year because there was a strike-shortened year this year. So 4-5 the Giants go. Great. LT, though, is a monster, of course. 7.5 sacks in 9 games and shitloads of tackles. He has a 97-yard interception return for a touchdown.
Wow.
That's the other. When he drops into pass coverage, he's deadly back there. He can cover receivers. It's disturbing. Like, other than tiny, very fast receivers, he can cover receivers. Tight ends, he's all over them. No tight ends are getting anywhere away from him.
He reads football. He reads plays. He knows what's happening. His football IQ is through the fucking roof.
There's I think it's the 86. No, it's not the 86. I can't remember what year it is, but there's a game against the 49ers where the Giants are kind of pummeling them a little bit. And the end of the whole thing, the cherry on top, is Joe Montana throws a pick to LT. And LT catches it, and Jerry Rice is behind him. It was intended for Jerry Rice. So LT catches it, and after like 2 steps, Jerry Rice just pulls up and stops chasing him. He goes, I'm not catching him, going down the sidelines, and LT ran it for a touchdown. And that's the best receiver in the league. It was like, I'm not catching that fucking guy. No way. And he was not far from him.
And even if he could catch up to him, I don't think Jerry's going to tackle him.
Go for the legs, Chief. That's then LT's going to kill you on the next play.
Right.
That's the other thing. They were scared to piss him off. They didn't want to make him mad because then he'd come and fucking do worse to you.
But which is worst? Worse. An LT playing angry because he can't, because you're stopping him from doing, or an LT playing really excited about pummeling you.
There's no winning here. You know, it's crazy. So 1983, Bill Parcells comes in and becomes the new head coach now.
Uh-oh.
So he's the head coach, gets a promotion. Team goes 3-12-1 this year. He almost got shit canned in his first year. Now, LT this year plays in all 16 games, has 2 interceptions, too. That's the other thing. He's picking balls. He's run 9 sacks. Oh, by the way, 82, he was the Defensive Player of the Year again, by the way, for the second year in a row. AP, first team All-Pro,
They're not
Pro Bowl.
losing games because the team stinks altogether. They're losing games because the offense stinks altogether.
The offense was terrible in 83. Absolute fucking train wreck. I think Phil Simms was hurt that year, too. They were putting all these different guys in. Train wreck. But he's, Jesus Christ, one day in 83, he came into a team meeting with a handcuff hanging off of him.
Lawrence did.
Handcuff. Okay. And they were like, did you like just escape or something? Yeah. Like, should you be in custody right now? And he shrugged and said, there's some ladies trying out some new equipment, but they didn't have the key. So he was fucking around with a bunch of women.
Broke it off the headboard to make it here on
to
time.
Get on
I'm
time.
Sorry.
He had a bit of a... Now, him and Parcells are like, they love each other, but it's also a love-hate thing in the beginning because Parcells is tough. So
there was certainly friction. I do know that.
Till Parcells just said, let Lawrence basically do what Lawrence does, and that's going to be to our benefit. He figured it out. So Taylor called it a love-hate relationship. He said that Parcells would ride players trying to improve their performance. You don't have to ride Taylor. He's going to be balls out.
Don't do that.
Yeah, he didn't do that. So he, at first, when Parcells kept doing that, he said that he told him, quote, I've had enough. You either cut me or trade me, but get the fuck off my back. I don't care. Just I'll leave. That's fine. Parcells kept on him, but he told the other coaches and players, quote, I like that LT. That motherfucker's got a mean streak. I like when Parcells says shit about that, like players. Yeah. There's this one a documentary about the '86 Giants where they're talking about Mark Bavaro, which do you know Mark Bavaro?
No.
Oh my God! See, that's the thing. Like I saw you say, Shannon Sharp helped change the tight end position, and Gronk and all these guys. Yeah. There was Harold Carmichael, Keith Jackson, and Mark Bavaro well before them who changed the position.
Point is, it was not what it is today. Everybody's
today
got one.
Today your tight ends have 85 catches. That's a different story than it used to be.
And everybody's got one.
Yeah. Mark Bavaro was the Giants tight end in the 80s who looks like a giant guinea bouncer. He's the most Italian-looking man ever. And he's just the toughest guy. Look up his highlights. There's got one where he's literally has 5 men hanging off him, and he's still trudging down the field for yards. He's a monster. And there's this highlight of Parcells looking at him. He goes to the other coach. He goes, "I'd hate to run into that Bavaro in a dark alley, huh? He's a stone-faced son of a bitch. That guy scares me." You know, it's like that's awesome. Taylor would show up. He'd start showing up late for meetings. He'd not participate in conditioning drills and practice kind of as a protest. And then after the season, this is when Donald Trump buys the New Jersey Generals of the USFL, and he offers Trump a contract. Or Trump offers LT a contract because in New York, he's the biggest star there. So, I mean, that's a smart move if you want to have a team there. So, he signs the contract, but the problem is he wouldn't be playing in the USFL until 1988 because he's got the Giants contract. So he's not. This is a future contract, is what he signed basically. A 6-year. This ends up getting him a big deal from the Giants. His contract renegotiated. 6 years, $6.55 million. Contract.
Nice fucking negotiations. That's good.
Yeah, that gets him $1 million interest-free loan. He also got a bunch of other shit in there too, a bunch of extras and shit. But the thing is, that's what the USFL did, is it gave these NFL players bargaining power. Yeah, because there was no free agency yet, so you had to kind of, your bargaining power was limited. But if you could just bounce out of the league and go to another league. Then they're fucked then, and so they had to compete price-wise. So, 1984. Here's a guy named Jerry Sizemore, who's a left tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles. I almost said Phillies. He's a left tackle for the Phillies. Played shortstop for the Eagles. He played from 73 to 84, so a pretty good left tackle if he's in the league for that long. He says, my last year in the league, opening day of 1984 in Giant Stadium, he immediately got past me. LT, he means. I sort of rolled and he tripped. He just looked at me and laughed. Right there, I thought I just have to get out of this game. He's like, I knew it was over right then. Like, I tripped the guy. That's my best defense.
That's all I've got.
He said, there were many sleepless nights. You played New York twice a year. Toward the middle of the week, something would come over you and you just start sweating. What? Good God.
I'm sweating on Wednesday for the game I've got to play on Sunday.
He said, we changed our entire blocking scheme because of him. We all had to know where LT was, and we all had to go for him. I'm glad that LT was on the left side, and I was on the right side, so I could play as long as I did. He was, I think, one of the fiercest competitors I've ever seen. For a long time, it was LT every day, every way. He was kind of like a Michael Jordan of football.
Yeah.
That's just the will to crush you, and he's going to do it. And, dangerous. So LT, here is Bill Parcells here talking about this, and Parcells has a lot of knowledge on him. He says, Joe Gibbs in a game in Giant Stadium basically decided that Taylor wasn't going to make any plays. He put 2 tight ends on Taylor's side along with the left tackle and 2 wide receivers in the slot away from Taylor. So loaded up, 3 guys are going to block you. And we're going to dump quick to these guys.
I've got my blocking receivers, both of them on that side.
So, he said, that's obviously a pretty extreme way to go about it. But he said, 3 guys would be blocking him. So the Giants ended up winning the game because that helped, I'm sure, a lot. He said, though, Parcells, after the game, his stat line wasn't great, but he knew that was the reason why they won, was because everybody was on him. So the press saw that LT didn't have a sack and he didn't make many tackles, and they're asking Parcells, what's the matter with Lawrence Taylor?
Did you watch the game?
Yeah.
Did you watch numbers? What did
Are you
do?
stupid? Yeah. So he said the next week we go out to San Diego to play the Chargers. Dan Henning is the coach. He saw the strategy, and they do the same thing. 2 tight ends on Lawrence, 2 wide receivers in the slot. Lawrence doesn't get a sack. We win again. But after the game, everyone's asking me all over again, what's the matter with Lawrence? I grab Lawrence in the locker room and say to him, I'm going to change your first name from Lawrence to what's the matter with, because they'd say, what's the matter with Taylor? So at practice the next week, he was, what's the matter with? What you doing over there? What's the matter with? Hey, what's the matter with? How come you're not making any plays? By Thursday, it's not funny to him. I mean, it's really not funny. That's fucking hilarious. But you want to piss him off.
Yeah. So I went out to my car and it was on fire.
So I went out to my car and he's standing on top of it with a chainsaw and it's almost in half already. He said the next day we have a game. The next game we have is against the Vikings on Monday Night Football. Tommy Kramer is the quarterback. They don't employ the strategy. He knocks Kramer out of the game, causes 2 fumbles, and recovers one of them. I'm leaving the field, walking down the tunnel toward the locker room for the press conference, and out of nowhere, this thing comes and jumps on my back. I didn't know he was coming. He basically knocks me over. He's still got his helmet on, sweat still pouring down his face. He comes right up into my face and hollers, I'll tell you what, Coach, they aren't going to ask what's the matter with. They aren't going to ask you what's the matter with. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and now Parcells has 2 slip discs for the rest of his life.
Yeah, now he's got a neck problem. He said that's why I loved him so much. He responded to anything that threatened his status. That was it. If you're saying he's not the best, he'll fucking run through a wall. Let's just prove he is.
And he'd take that chip on his shoulder and hang on to it until he proved it. You know what I mean? Like
which was never. He's always going to be going. Still is.
It, yeah.
Yeah. But he was asked later, why is it so easy for you to sack the quarterback? He said, I'm not saying it's easy. He said, I would chase you to the end of the earth. I loved the contact. I loved the camaraderie with the guys. I loved the game of football. I loved the challenge where I could challenge myself to be the best player out there. And every time I walked into that stadium, it was going to be 80,000 people in that sumbitch. And I knew for a fact that I was the baddest motherfucker in there.
Why is it so awesome?
Some
when they're
bitch.
honest, when they're real, when they're real
That's it.
fucking people.
This is why you love LT, because he said, and I knew for a fact that I was the baddest motherfucker in there. You want to hear a football player say that. They're living a life that you're not living.
Right.
And you're supposed to go, man, that's cool. Okay.
Because when you sit on your couch and you watch these guys play and you go, and you see somebody that's not good at it and you go, I could do that. I don't want that ever.
No.
I want to see somebody that I'm like, I can't fucking do that. That's amazing.
And I can separate on the field and off the field. That's the thing. I learned that from a young age. Being a Giants fan in the 80s, my dad loved the Giants, and Lawrence Taylor's getting busted for crack and all that. Nobody fucking – but he could have been – okay, as long as he sacked Joe Montana, he could have been shooting speedballs into his cock on Sesame Street, and my father would have been fine with it. He would have went, don't shoot speedballs into your cock, but that's amazing. That's what he would have said, because that's how
I can't believe he can do that.
That's incredible. Jesus Christ. He also, one club executive said, we were hearing that he had a terrible drinking problem and a cocaine problem. Some of his teammates said they were scared to death to be with him in a car.
Really?
He drives like a maniac. Team goes 9-7 that year. They make the playoffs. They beat the Rams in the wild card round, then lose to the 49ers in the next round of the playoffs. Taylor has 11.5 sacks. He's second in Defensive Player of the Year rankings, Pro Bowler, all that kind of shit. Plays all 16 games. February 20th, 1985, a judge orders Lawrence to pay $900 a month in child support to his ex-girlfriend there.
Amazing.
$11,000 for back payments and to purchase a house for his child.
Oh.
That costs between $70,000 and $90,000.
That's a bit more. That's a lot.
He's also ordered to pay $43,000 of her legal fees as well, and the child's medical bills, private school tuition, and provide a $250,000 life insurance policy. Yeah. LT agreed to all of that, but he's appealing to the order to pay the legal fees. He's like, she can pay or whatever. So, season.
Can he put that house like in a trust for the kid rather than giving it to the woman?
I'm not sure if we can litigate that 35 years later, but we can try to talk to a judge and find out. I'm not sure. I'll find out right now. Jimmie, let me get LT on the line. The crazy part is from that the Lenny Dykstra episode to congratulate him for not getting arrested for a couple of years, we actually have LT's phone number. We will not use it or give it out or abuse it in any way. It was given to us in trust to get in a sacred trust to not do that. We never would.
By a very reckless Lenny Dykes.
Yeah.
He gave us
we would
so
never.
many people's numbers.
Oh God, we were calling him. Sarah's calling Doc Gooden. Hello, Mr. Gooden. Shit was crazy.
I'm at a very nice restaurant. I'll call you right after. Never called us.
Never called back. Thanks, Doc. That's
I'm not
funny.
going to call you, sir. This is crazy. I can't believe I have your number.
That's so fucking funny. So this year they beat San Francisco in the wild card round.
Yeah.
They go 10-6 in the season. Beat San Francisco 17-3. Lose to the Bears. This is the '85 Bears. They were a juggernaut. Lose to them 21-0. LT all 16 games. He has 13 sacks. He's killing it. He's really 2 fumble recoveries. He's all over the fucking place everywhere. No, during that season, November 18th, 1985 is probably the most famous game of his career. One of the most famous games in Monday Night Football history, certainly.
Football history, yeah.
In football history here. They're playing the Redskins, and this is the night that Joe Theismann's leg is snapped in half.
This is the night that Joe Theismann never plays football again.
No, he never did.
No.
He never did. And they said they were paranoid about him all week. All week. They said they have extra blockers, and Theismann said that, maybe that'll slow him down at least, an extra blocker. He came free too often. And they said the week leading up to the game, that week of practice, they had practice and they had seminars on Lawrence Taylor. This is what the offensive linemen, every team he played, they would have regular practice and meetings, and then afterwards they'd all get together for special meetings on Lawrence Taylor, just on him, of what to do and how to play him. So Theismann said, if you looked at our overhead projector or our chalkboard, all the other Giants players were X's and O's when the players are drawn out. Lawrence was the only one who had a number, 56. He was a little red 56, and the number was always highlighted and circled. The goal was, let's identify where Lawrence is on every play.
Yeah.
So they said he moved around a lot to confuse the defense, and that would obviously do that. They said they were happiest when he came from his own right side on the quarterback's left. And Bill that's coming from the blind side, obviously. Yeah. Parcells said the big reason I put him over there is the right side is the quarterback's blind side, since most quarterbacks are right-handed, and no one wants to get his ass knocked off from the backside. That's a good way to put it. Taylor said, why the hell would I want to come from where he could see me? That's what Taylor said. He said, it wasn't really called the blind side when I came into the league. It was called the right side. It soon became the blind side after I started knocking people's heads off.
Yeah.
Okay. He said that at the start of the play, they said, they'd look for him at the start of the play, this play. Theismann said, the play that happens against the Redskins. He said, when I dropped back, the first thing I still did was to glance over my shoulder to see if he was coming. If he was dropping back in coverage, a sense of calm came over me. If he was coming, I had a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he said that on this particular play, he didn't see him. He said he just didn't see him. He lost sight of him. LT came around the side, and if you watch it, somebody else hits LT first, or hits Theismann first. Then LT grabs him, and this is the crazy part of it. It's not like a landing on him injury.
Yeah.
Theismann has his feet planted into the ground, and he's trying to go in one direction while LT's trying to pull him over in the other. So Theismann's like hunkered down, hunched like when you're trying to really plow through something. LT pulls him so fucking hard that the force of it snaps his fucking leg in half.
He wishboned him.
He just said no and pulled him, and Theismann was going so hard the other way, and LT pulled him so hard that way, it snapped his leg. You know how strong those bones are? That is just wrong.
Also, that's some pretty strong turf that the turf didn't give.
Yeah,
first, you know what I mean?
Shit.
Instead, his fucking leg, like a gunshot, popped.
Fucking man, that was vicious. So, yeah. And Theismann said you couldn't play like that. You couldn't play worried all the time. He said when a quarterback starts looking at the rush, his career is over. Yeah. Obviously. So, he said it was a big mess. And if you watch the play, it's immediately LT gets up. He's got his hands on top of his helmet. Yeah. And he's like jumping up and down and waving at the sidelines to come, which is like, that's odd. You don't see that out of LT. He wasn't talking shit or making little finger guns over him or anything. It was bad.
For a guy who wants to cause havoc and wants to hurt people, he doesn't want to end careers. That's kind of him. He's got a little bit of a heart.
It's like Mike Tyson. Tyson would go in. He wants to take your head off, but then as soon as the bell rings, he comes over and hugs you and tells you how much of a wonderful person you are, and maybe we'll go on vacation together next year. And like, it's the same way LT was. It was after the game where it's all good, but during the game, I want to murder you, and if you live through it, well, maybe we'll have a beer later.
But then at the sight of the actual murdering, he didn't like it.
No, he didn't like it. I guess not. It's really gross too. They showed it 100 times, and
and he literally murdered that man's career.
So the next day, Theismann remembers LT called him the next day
in the hospital,
and he said, "Joe, how you doing?" And Joe.
I just saw my mortgage, and I'm fucked.
He said, not very well.
Yeah.
And Taylor said, why? Which is utterly fucking hilarious. Why?
Do you not remember?
I can't tell. And Theismann said, why? You broke both bones in my leg, for crying out loud. Yeah. And Taylor said, Joe, listen, I don't do things halfway. I got to go to practice. Talk to you later. And hung up. It's like, okay, great. But he did call. That's nice of him.
Is that a call?
I mean,
That's not a call.
He thought of him anyway. It's the thought that counts, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, that's
a call is concern about the situation. There was zero concern.
No, he was like doing a line of coke, like doing a line of coke. He had like a girl like with her ass in his face, and he was like, "I got a bunch of other stuff going on, Joe. I'll call you back."
He called Joe to make sure that Joe knew that he does things 100%.
100%.
That's all he called for. Joe, did I get both or just one? God damn it, just one?
Damn it. Oh, man. So the Washington Post describes his off-the-field life at the time, and this is 1986 here, 1985. He's got a wife, 2 children, lives in Upper Saddle River, New Jersey, has a $400,000 house, which is a lot back then,
that's a big one.
has a Mercedes and a Beamer in the driveway, a beautiful landscape. He's got Dobermans there. He's got a live-in maid that does that, and a live-in former teammate to look after the kids. He's got like a nanny who he's
awesome.
Yeah, so he's doing great. He's the highest paid defensive player at the time in NFL history. $750,000 he's making this year, $46,875 per game, and then his salary is going to go up from there. So he's doing great. He also has Arabian horses. He's got cattle. He's got an interest in his agent's agency. He's got a house in Virginia, a hotel in New Jersey, an apartment complex in Southern California. He's doing well.
Wow.
They say at one point last year he had between $400,000 and $500,000 in a New Jersey bank account, ready cash. As for walking money, Taylor needs only to snap his fingers. In 1982, for example, he earned $37,500 for wearing a brand of shoes, which nowadays that's fucking $3 million, but back then it was nothing.
Steal.
Yeah, this is pre-Jordans. So he said $20,000 for endorsing a chewing tobacco. Imagine
what?
A top player in one of the major sports leagues endorsing a chewing tobacco nowadays. Imagine that.
I'm stunned that he did it in the 80s.
He's the first guy since Ty Cobb to fucking to do chewing
Endorse
tobacco.
Fucking red man.
Wow, and $7,500 for signing autographs at a bar mitzvah. So
okay,
not bad. But February 14th, 1986, everything kind of comes to a halt here when he enters a 6-week drug rehab program in Houston. Stays 1 week and leaves. So there you go. That says a lot.
That's enough.
That's enough. Now, the Giants general manager, George Young, he said that he fully expects to see Taylor at the mini camp next month, thinks he's going to be fine. He said, Lawrence has got a setback right now, and he'll get as much support as we can give him, but he has to help himself. And right now, that's what he's doing. He's helping himself. You couldn't ask for anything more than that. He's ready to go.
To a lot.
That's it. March 20th, 1986, he makes a public statement that he has received help for substance abuse, and he is good now. Everything's fine. 86 is the Giants' magical year. They were just a monster. They go 14-2 in the playoffs. They beat San Francisco 49-3.
Wow.
That was when Jim Burt broke Joe Montana in half.
God.
Joe Montana goes back. The 2 different playoff games that the Giants beat the Niners in that time period, then in 1990, where Montana was knocked out for a year both times. He got knocked out for the whole 87 season and was knocked out for the whole 91 season, too.
Wow.
But this is Jim Burt drills him in the chest, and Joe Montana just kind of goes off his feet for a little bit and then just lands like kind of on the ground like if you dropped somebody, I don't know, from a helicopter, they might land like that. Like kind of on his back, crumpled over with his legs over him and broke his back. Just
broke
one
his
shot.
back.
Broke his, look it up. Jim Burt,
Wow.
86 playoffs. He just fucking, you could see, you go, oh, that would break my back too. Holy shit. It looked brutal. Then they beat Washington 17-0 in the NFC Championship game. So through the playoffs, they gave up 3 points.
Unbelievable.
They beat their opponents 66-3 to get to the Super Bowl.
And they went to the Super Bowl against the Bills, right?
Denver. This is 86.
Denver, yeah.
This is the Broncos.
Did they beat the Bills, too?
Yeah. Bills never won a Super Bowl.
But, I mean, they beat the Bills in another
later.
Super Bowl? Is that
90.
right?
That was the 90 season.
Okay, got
so 86 season is Denver. They beat Denver 39-20. Not bad. Lawrence Taylor is MVP of the NFL that year.
Is that right?
which is difficult as a defensive player. They tend to give that to quarterbacks or,
Running
somebody like that.
Receiver, somebody,
Yeah, he has 20.5 sacks that year.
Holy shit.
Killing it. Defensive player of the year, MVP, you name it. Greatest thing in the world. Super Bowl champions. Everybody's happy.
Hero.
Grace. Definitely. That's going to be Grace there. Definitely. 87, team goes 6-9. It's a strike season again. That's when Suge Knight played that year. Not for the Giants, for the Rams, but that was a lot of weird people played. So he plays in 12 games, has 12 sacks in 12 games. Not too shabby there. LT said there's a sack and then there's a sack with an exclamation point.
Yeah.
He said, you run up behind the quarterback. He doesn't see you. You put your helmet in his back, wrap yourself around him, throw him to the ground. That's wow.
Lord.
He said, I'm not invincible. When people see me, they only see the football side. I'm not filled with anger and meanness. I have feelings. I'm mad. I'm happy. I have every type of emotion.
Okay.
I'm not a robot.
I'm a person.
His the Giants' strength coach, Johnny Parker, he said that LT could have been even better if he had applied himself. See, that's the difference. Like Michael Jordan is a worker.
Yeah.
LT's not a worker. He's I'm going to show up and fuck shit up and don't need to do anything after that. So if he had
life, and enjoy this.
If this guy had the workout kind of a thing, no drugs, working out, eating right, oh my God, it would have been even worse. But they said that he rarely participated in off-season workouts. The coach said that Taylor lifted weights only 3 or 4 times. And that was just like in a whole off season. He said that resulted in him being fined. The coach said Lawrence has a role to play. He wants people to think it's all natural, God-given. Before the season, we were running 330-yard sprints. He was gasping. Afterward, he said, I've always wanted to train. I just could never make myself do it. He said lifting weights would help him more than anyone else on the Giants. He can lift weights for 1 hour and derive more strength and speed than others will in 6 days. He's just that much of an athlete. He's a freak. Yeah. He said, think of the dramatic impact that would have on the league. It isn't that Lawrence is a lazy person. He just has a short attention span. Look, I see his point. Why should he kill himself if he can already dominate people? I fight him, but I can't win. That's the thing. It's hard to tell when you guys, the MVP, defensive player of the year, killing everything. It's hard to go, listen, you could be even better. He's like, I'm pretty fucking good and I'm having fun. I'm not waking up at 5 a.m. to be 2% better. Fuck you.
I did everything last season. They gave me a ring for it, and I did nothing outside of that. So
it was great. I just did coke and prostitutes and hookers. It was great. And strippers and anything else I could find. Any woman I could find that's willing to be scantily clad around me, I paid them for sex, probably. So, 1988, he appears in the HBO television show First and 10. Remember that? The football.
Do I remember that?
It's like a drama about. It's pretty bad. It's got
acting.
Yeah, it's Debo's in it. It's about a football team in L.A. and it's. I liked it as a kid because it was like kind of dirty, had like drugs and sex and tits in it. So yeah,
that's why I like Darless.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. He played Tombstone Packer.
Oh.
The names they give him in every acting role are hilarious, by the way. Keep track of them. Tombstone Packer. He would appear in 5 different episodes through 1991, so he's a recurring character on there. August 29th, 1988, he is given a gift from the league, a 30-day 4-game suspension for his second violation of the NFL's drug abuse policy for cocaine.
They caught him with drugs again.
Caught him doing coke again, so there he is. That season, team goes 10-6. He plays in 12 games because he's suspended for 4 of them. Has 15.5 sacks in 12 games.
Jesus.
As well. So does very well. March 25th, 1989, though, comes around after the season. 3:30 a.m. I think you know where this is going.
Oh, Lawrence.
This is great. Police find him asleep behind the wheel of his Jeep, just sitting on the side of the Garden State Parkway in New Jersey, asleep at the wheel. So they're like, that's odd. That's different. State Police Sergeant Robert Kenyon said that the trooper Robert Pojita was on patrol when he saw a 1989 Jeep parked on the shoulder of the Garden State Parkway near Saddlebrook in Bergen County just before 3:30 a.m. He said it just happened to be LT. I guess he was going home. Where else would he be going at that hour? Well, with LT,
Who
who
the
knows?
fuck knows?
They said LT failed a breathalyzer test, although he declined to say what the exact results were, which I think we have them actually here. And it was issued a summons for DUI or DWI. He was taken to the state police barracks where he was also given a urine test, then released on his own recognizance here. So Taylor said, I didn't drink enough to get drunk. I drank enough to get sick.
Oh.
His story is he just didn't feel good and was just kind of resting in his car. He wasn't passed out drunk.
Okay. He had drank weird shit and he got a bellyache?
Well, here's what happened.
Okay.
Cop comes, knocks on the window. He's asleep in the car, opens the window. There's puke everywhere. He's sleeping in the back of his car with throw up on him, and he smells like booze. So guess what?
That's a drunk guy.
That's a drunk guy, last time I checked. But he said he just happened to be ill and threw up, not because of the booze, because he was ill.
I can handle my alcohol. I'm fine.
I'm fine. He said he'd been bowling till about 11:30 p.m. and then, quote, had a family argument. Okay. He said, I decided to storm out of the house. That's a hilarious line. I decided to storm out of the house. He said, I had a couple of drinks. I pulled over and I was really getting sick. So he ran out, went to the strip club. He insisted, though, that he's not drunk, and he says the police breathalyzer proved it. He said, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm keeping straight. I'm all right. You're asleep with puke all over yourself on the side of the highway after you stormed out of your house at 3:30 in the morning to go drinking.
I know
nothing
how
is
this
all right.
looks.
Yeah, exactly how it is. Taylor then showed the Associated Press a copy of the breathalyzer report, which showed his readings at two different readings of 0.09.
Okay.
Which not in New Jersey in 1989, it was 0.10.
Yeah.
Back then. So he said, see, I'm not drunk.
The definition of drunk here is 0.1.
That's
fine.
Right. I'm fine. He said, I don't worry about whether I'll get suspended. I can't be, talking about in the league. He said he also disputed the police contention that he was asleep, saying he was just lying across the seat trying to recover from vomiting when the police arrived. He said, I don't know if it was food poisoning or drink poisoning or what. Or booze. He sent a urine sample in, by the way, and he's saying that he told police that if it comes back clean, which it will, then he's going to plead innocent to all the charges, and they told him that charges will be dropped if it comes back clean for drugs, his urine test. He said, the only crime I've done is throwing up in my truck, so give me the death penalty. Then he said they didn't fingerprint me. They didn't take my picture. I thought they understood it was all a misunderstanding. Then I'm driving to the airport, and I hear Lawrence Taylor was arrested for drunk driving. It's a lie. The drug test results come in, and they come back clean of drugs, actually.
Okay.
Just booze. The state police captain said there were no drugs in his system. So they said, we felt in all fairness, Mr. Taylor, the test should be done immediately. And they did that and said that, yeah. Now, state police also have the option of still charging you back then if you were between 0.05 and 0.09.
Yeah, to the slightest degree or whatever they call it. Yeah.
They can still charge you if they think that you're not driving safely because of that.
Because whether or not you're drunk, different people handle booze differently.
Exactly.
You can put somebody in a cell based on their lack of ability.
Yeah, totally. So the Giants are saying that, he's been participating in his program, and, he's been doing drug counseling, and he's been cooperating. So we think he'll be fine. This should all blow over. They said it's not a drug-related incident, just an isolated alcohol case, they called it.
Alcohol is drugs, isn't it?
No, just an isolated. No, Jimmie, no. Okay. He's fine. Jesus Christ, what are you trying to put the guy behind the 8 ball here? He's good. He needs to get out on the field. Shut the fuck up about it. So he said, this is the Giants. They said, obviously we are sad that the situation even occurred, but there is a silver lining. It shows Lawrence's rehabilitation program is working because he didn't have drugs in his system.
Fascinating they use the word silver.
Yeah, silver. It's a silver lining as he ran his hands through his hair. His speaking with the media Friday shows that he's taken responsibility for his actions, which is an objective of the program. Okay. They said, isn't it great that he got a DUI? This means that he's not a cokehead now.
A drunk's way better than an alcohol.
They just spun it as a positive.
Yeah, alcoholics are terrible.
Fuck.
What am I saying? I can't even say it right. The alcoholic is the one we give a pass to. The junkie we don't want around.
Yeah, no, now he's just a drunk. It's fine now. See? May 10th, 1989, he is acquitted of drunk driving charges.
Is that right? They threw it out.
Going free. Free man.
Oh, boy.
He's going free bird LT, baby. Woo! 89, Giants go 12-4 that year. We're very good, but they lose in the divisional round of the playoffs to the Rams when fucking Mark Collins makes a dumb pass interference. I'll never forget this shit. It happened so long ago. He made a goddamn stupid pass interference play that brought I was fourth and 12 or something, and he makes a fucking pass interference 30 yards up the field, and the Rams go on and score and win the game. I was pissed.
Was Collins a young guy at the time?
He'd been around a few years. He was
long enough to know
standard
better.
corner.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have long enough to not do that shit. I don't even think it was a good call, though, too. I think it was kind of a shit call, if I remember correctly.
I watched the Steelers game yesterday, and they had the Panthers to 4th and 27, and then one of the players ran over to the Panthers huddle and started talking shit, and they flagged him for what I don't know,
unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yeah, on sport. Yeah, I think that's what it was. And then they gave him 1st and 10 because of it.
Yeah.
They had him at 4th and 27.
I'm telling you, man, stupid.
Dumb young players, man.
You can dumb yourself out of a lot in football very easily. So this year, all 16 games, he has 15 sacks. So again, crushing it pretty good. 1990, September, he gets a new contract.
Oh, boy.
Makes him the highest paid defensive player in the National Football League. 3 years, $5 million. He said, I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
No shit you do.
That's low today, man. Jesus.
Oh, it's nothing today. Back then,
what a steal.
He wanted a 3-year, $5.5 million contract, and they were negotiating, he said, but he said he had to compromise because, quote, I look kind of stupid bitching over money I'd be making because it's pretty good money. I plan to put aside my pride for a while and look at the big picture. The big picture says my teammates and my coaches and a lot of fans deserve to have good football played. Yeah. So I'm going to go play it. So there you go. Season, Giants go 13-3 for 1990.
Yeah.
And in the playoffs, they crushed the Bears 31-3. They beat San Francisco 15-13 in one of the best games in championship history.
Yeah.
That was incredible. That's where Leonard Marshall broke Joe Montana in pieces, and he was out for a whole year.
You love Joe Montana in pieces.
I loved getting him because he was he just never got hit. And so if someone hit him, it was like, yes, finally.
And it was so wholesome. And just,
he was so good. He was so fucking good. He was in the clutch in the fourth quarter. His passes had touch. He was just an asshole, and he was so slippery. When LT would come in, watch in LT's highlights, all of his highlights of sacking Joe Montana, Montana just falls to the ground when LT's near him.
Yeah.
He literally just falls down. He doesn't even try. He just covers the ball and falls. He doesn't want to get hit. Yeah. And on this particular play, Montana's rolling to his right to over past the hash mark and everything. LT is running to meet him, and Montana just stops. And LT runs in front of him. And when he stopped, he had his little hands up oh, oopsie, as he almost said oopsie as LT ran by. And just as he did that, stopped short, Leonard Marshall's 300-pound frame came from the back with his helmet right in the Montana in his back.
Yeah.
And just the ball flew out. His helmet went into the grass. He had big chunks of grass in his helmet, and he was out for a year and a half. It was beautiful. Oopsie. He oopsied him good. I'm going to call him Oopsie from now on, Joe Montana. Oh, look, it's Oopsie.
And then he got even bigger oopsied.
Oh, he got oopsied hard. Then they go on to, this is Buffalo's first Super Bowl here, where they beat the Bills 20-19 on Scott Norwood's missed field goal there. And great game from the Giants. The Bills were a better team, and they just ground them into dust.
The Bills, like a lot of people joke about how bad it is to lose.
Team.
They were so fucking good.
Who goes to 4 straight Super Bowls? Who dominates their conference for 4 straight years? You know, that's
regardless
impressive.
Win or lose the Super Bowl. That's fucking amazing.
That's incredible. 10.5 sacks for Lawrence that year.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this white Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
February 5th, 1991, right after the season. So they won the Super Bowl, and then he's arrested immediately. Yeah. This is for criminal property damage for getting in an altercation with a taxi driver. This is a few hours after the Pro Bowl in Honolulu. He gets off. A woman puts a lei around his neck.
Yeah.
Everybody's calm. The ocean breeze is coming. And before you know it, he is fighting with a fucking cab driver in the street. And this is his car hit the cab. The cab driver got out of the car, kicked LT's car, then climbed onto the hood of LT's car and threatened him with a metal pipe. This cab driver
to beat the shit out of that guy, right?
Well, that's the thing. Well, he didn't beat the shit out. This cab driver, imagine you're a cab driver. You're on the road. You know what I mean? You're amped up. You think, I'm going to kick this guy's ass. And Lawrence, fucking the scariest man. The only one worse would have been if Mike Tyson got out to scare the living shit out of you, essentially. So you'd be like, oh, no.
He had to know as soon as Lawrence got out, oh, God, is that a dangly lightning bolt?
I'm in deep shit. And there's no point in running. He'll catch you. You almost got to try to talk him down at that point.
Running backs can't outrun him sometimes. Fat cabbie doesn't have a fucking chance.
So LT just fucking goes up to the guy and rips the pipe out of his hands.
Yeah.
Give me that, motherfucker. This guy had no chance. Then he continues to take the metal pipe and beat the rear end of the cab with it. Starts fucking beating it with the metal pipe. The cab driver was charged with misdemeanor terroristic threatening and criminal property damage, and LT was charged with criminal property damage.
Really?
That is amazing. Yeah, that is fucking amazing.
I guess I'll bet if he took that metal baton and just beat the shit out of the cabbie, he's charged with nothing.
Nothing. It would have been self-defense. The guy jumped on his hood. A lunatic thing to do. June 21st, 1991, a son is born. Brandon.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Brandon. 1991 season. Bill Parcells leaves. Ray Hanley takes over, and the Giants go right into the shitter very, very hard. They're 8-8 that year. It's not good. He appears 1992 in the TV show Tropical Heat.
What is that?
Nick Slaughter, an ex-RCMP and DEA agent who dropped out of society after being fired from his job, relocates to the Florida town of Key Mariah to start a detective service. In the process, he meets local travel agent Sylvie Gerard, and they form a strong partnership and quite the detective team. However, the local police squad never makes it easy. So, blah, 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 blah. Stars Rob Stewart and Carolyn Dunn.
I hate it already.
Yeah, it's on for like 3 years too.
Really?
It's a 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb.
Really?
With a lot of ratings too. People seem to like this fucking show. Yeah. LT appears in 2 different episodes over 2 seasons as different people. He's Dallas Jones in one and DJ Littlefield in the other. So
okay, so he's part of investigation once, and then he is the investigation.
And then they're looking for him there. Yeah, he's probably like a hired guy they hired to do some sort of surveillance on another one, some demolitions guy or something.
Yeah,
season
guy that does better investigative work than we do.
He's our B.A. Baracus. So season, Giants go 6-10. They're fucking god awful, and it gets worse for LT. Is in the 10th game of the season or 9th game of the season, he ruptures his Achilles tendon.
Oh,
yeah, this was terrible. I mean, for a speed guy to rupture your Achilles, that's it pretty much. I mean, you see guys rupture their Achilles and come back and play. Were like Dan Marino and Vinny Testaverde, who were statues before you couldn't tell the difference. You know,
you rarely come back much better.
No, I remember him. He was still. They were still double teaming him even after his Achilles was torn.
Really?
He still got double teamed on every fucking play though. But before this, he had only missed 4 games due to injury in his whole career. LT does not want to ever come out. There's a famous story that Bill Parcells tells about LT got a bad concussion in one game, real bad. His head on the turf and got a terrible concussion. And they had to hide his helmet so he wouldn't go back in the game. They literally had to take his helmet and bring it back in the locker room and hide it because he
was so fucked up they didn't want him out there. Yeah,
he was trying to come back in the game, and he was like, "Where's my fucking helmet?" And he was just trying to come back in. They were like, "Hide his fucking helmet." There's another one where they showed he tore his whole bicep and shoulder muscle apart on one play, and they just went and like strapped it down, and he played the rest of the game like nobody's. He had 2 sacks. It was crazy. He's a fucking menace to society. I mean, coke helps. So,
yeah, it does.
1993, in his final year of the NFL, he starts a company called All Pro Products. It went public at $5 a share. So this is like crazy shit, and tripled in value during its first month. The stock price reached a height of $16.50 a share. His stake was worth over $10 million at that point in it.
Wow.
Problem is, right after that, the company ceased production, and Taylor, who didn't sell his stock, lost several $100,000 instead of making a shitload of money. Problem is, he got defrauded by several members of the Hanover Sterling Company, which is a penny stock scam firm. It's like a Wolf of Wall Street operation, basically. So, they said that they had they short sold the company's stock, which made it worthless. Yeah. They just fucked him. That's all it was.
Bastard.
So the SEC ruled that 2 traders had manipulated the price of the stock, and so there you go. And they got in trouble for it. So 93 is when he said he first tried crack as opposed to coke, and he loved it. Oh, God, where have you been all my life? Oh, sweet crack, where have you been all my life? Crack. In the next few years, there'll be times where he says he's smoking an ounce of crack a day.
A day,
an ounce of crack. An ounce. Think about that.
Holy shit, man.
That is obscene. That's an obscene amount of crack to smoke. Crack. Smoking an ounce of crack a day.
You've never heard a positive story. You've never heard somebody say life was terrible, and then I smoked crack, and then it got so good.
I've never heard anyone with a 3-pack a day crack habit either. This is crazy. An ounce of crack, that's so much.
Crack. Yeah.
So much crack. You'd have to be smoking it like as you're driving. You go to the bank to do some business.
Smoking crack. Sir, can I take your order? Just a second. Let me finish this crack.
No, you know what? Never mind. I'm smoking crack, so I'm going to be doing this for a while.
I'll just take the crack.
I'm good here. So during the season, Dan Reeves takes over as coach in 93. If you remember, he left Denver.
Yep.
A little beef with Elway there. Team goes 11-5. In the playoffs, they beat the Vikings 17-10, and then they get crushed by the 49ers 44-3. Yeah. That was the year the 49ers would beat the shit out of the Chargers in the Super Bowl. So they were pretty damn good. This year, LT post Achilles had 6 sacks in 15 games. I saw a game this year. I went to the Cardinals-Giants game this year, I believe, and post Achilles, and he was still getting double teamed. Old and with a torn Achilles, there's still always 2 guys on him. Always.
And the Cardinals likely did that because every quarterback they had is just meat to him.
Yeah, that's what it is.
They were all terrible. If they lose this one, they're really fucked.
And I saw this game, the Giants won on a last-second field goal by Brad Delwiso.
Really?
Not last, because then they kicked off and they had to, the Cardinals had 2 plays to go 80 yards and couldn't do it. So that was that. So he announces his retirement after the season and says, I think it's time for me to retire. I've done everything I can do. I've been to Super Bowls. I've been to playoffs. I've done things that other people haven't been able to do in this game before. After 13 years, it's time for me to let go. So
fascinating.
There you go. John Madden, about him. He's seen quite a bit of football, John Madden, I would say.
Maybe the premier voice on it.
He said, Lawrence Taylor defensively has had as big an impact as any player I've ever seen. He changed the way defense is played, the way pass rushing is played, the way linebackers play, and the way offenses block linebackers. He just changed everything for the coaches. In an interview about his career, they said, did you ever think about how much better you could have been if you didn't have the drug issues? And he said, quote, that's hearsay, how much better I could have been, you know? No, that's not what hearsay means, number one. At all. Speculation would be what you're saying, not hearsay.
Did you hear somebody say that?
Did you hear somebody say that? Then tell me about it, because that's not admissible in a court of law, pal. He said,
he's dumb?
He said, issues define my lifestyle. That issues define my lifestyle is a very good way to put it. There's always something going on. It seemed like once when I get in trouble for something, I just played better. So you had to prove it. 1994, he's in an episode of Married with Children as himself.
Oh, really?
Yes, he is. That's when Married with Children was dying through that period. That was
Kelly dating him and it pissed off Dad?
Probably. Shit, Kelly was like 30 by then. He said, yeah, Kel, get married. I don't care. Move out of the house. What are you, 30?
Get out of this fucking place.
You were a senior in high school in 87, so we got problems. You need to go.
Yeah.
This is crazy. 1995, he's in the show Coach. Remember with Craig T. Nelson there? He plays himself as well in that. Oh. And then he worked some TV jobs. He worked as an analyst for TNT Sunday Night Football, which only lasted a couple of years. Turner Network bought football rights.
What?
TNT. Yeah, they had football for a minute there on Sunday nights.
Not just the Falcons?
Not just the Falcons, no. And so he's an announcer for them, or an analyst, a color guy. Then in March of 1995, he is the main event in WrestleMania 11.
What?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Oh, my God.
They do an angle where Bam Bam Bigelow comes out of the ring after losing a match. It was in, I think, the Royal Rumble they did it, where he comes out of the ring and there's a bunch of NFL players in the front row. They're all hanging out. And they're all laughing at him. Yeah. So he gets mad and shoves Lawrence Taylor. Okay. So Lawrence Taylor's trying to fight him, and the football players are trying to hold him back. And so there's this big thing, and Lawrence Taylor's going to fight Bam Bam Bigelow, God damn it. So this is when Vince McMahon, the steroid trial was going on. This is the absolute low point for wrestling popularity right here. Low point. So they needed anything to spike a WrestleMania. I believe this WrestleMania was in Connecticut. So it's in the Northeast. LT is an icon.
Yeah.
He's known as a bad motherfucker. Let's put LT in the ring with Bam Bam Bigelow. And now they had all the legitimate press. All the sports press showed up when he did a press conference about it. So it became a big thing. This is a terrible WrestleMania, probably the worst of all time. But for a football player who never wrestled a fucking match before, he did a goddamn good job. Yeah. Like, even all the wrestlers said, like, obviously, if he, if he was a worker, they'd been working for 10 years, they'd expect better out of him. But for a guy literally in his first wrestling match in front of anybody, and his first wrestling match is the main event of WrestleMania, which is crazy right away. Yeah. You know what I mean? Most of these guys, their first match was in front of 100 people somewhere.
But that's how big his goddamn name is. He could do anything at this point that's athletic, and people are going to come watch.
He was all fucking, they had to like carry him back to the locker room because he was all blown up. I mean, the wrestling's a different cardio.
Right.
You could be a world-class, top-notch athlete and get in the ring with a 400-pound guy, and after 10 minutes, he's not even sweating, and you'd be dying. That's just because it's a different cardio. You can maybe run 5 miles, but he can do this, and you can't. So listen to this WrestleMania. First match, Lex Luger and the British Bulldog beating Jacob and Eli Blue.
Who?
Exactly. The Blue Brothers. They were the Ron and Don Harris are their names. It's a couple of they're identical twin wrestlers who are huge.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like they could have done more with identical twin giant people.
I can't believe I don't know who they are. Yeah, that seems like a pretty good angle.
Yeah, Luger and British Bulldog. This is before Luger went to WCW. This is why he left, because he's opening WrestleMania in a tag team match against the fucking Blue Brothers. Razor Ramon beats Jeff Jarrett by disqualification. The Undertaker beats King Kong Bundy.
Yikes.
Bundy came back with eyebrows now, and it was like, what's going on? Now you have eyebrows. This is weird. Owen Hart and Yokozuna beat the Smoking Guns, Billy Gunn and Bart Gunn.
Jesus.
This is bad stuff. See what I'm saying? Bret Hart beat Bob Backlund by submission in a boring match because Bob Backlund was boring at that point. Yeah. Diesel beat Shawn Michaels. Diesel had Pamela Anderson in his corner, whereas Shawn Michaels had Jenny McCarthy in his corner.
What is this? Battle of who's got the hottest chick?
We're the cool guys. And then main event, Lawrence Taylor in his corner, Carl Banks, Ricky Jackson, Steve McMichael, who'll later be a wrestler, Mongo McMichael, Ken Norton Jr., Chris Spielman, and Reggie White. Reggie White and Lawrence Taylor hanging out together is the strangest fucking combination ever.
And
we're going to do some coke. I'll be praising the Lord while you'll be doing coke. Sounds good. Like... What a weird...
That's a fascinating group of athletes.
Those are some tough son of a bitches in that group. Ricky Jackson, Steve McMichael, Ken Norton Jr., his fucking father beat Muhammad Ali, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? A tough man.
He played for the Niners, right?
Yeah, he played for the Cowboys forever.
Cowboys,
too. And Niners. Chris Spielman, who was tough as shit, too. That Lions middle linebacker. And then Reggie White is Reggie goddamn White. He's a monster. Bam Bam Bigelow had King Kong Bundy, Ted DiBiase, Kama, Erwin R. Shyster, Tatanka, and Nikolai Volkov in his corner. Not quite as impressive.
Was this the beginning of bringing NFL athletes into the WWE?
No, they did that for years. Well, a lot of ex-football players became wrestlers. That's what they used to do. But the more famous ones, they really started it in '80s in WrestleMania 2 in '86 because the Battle Royal had William the Refrigerator Perry in it when he was popular. Bill Fralick. It had a bunch of Too Tall Jones was in it. There was I want to say 10 football players in that Battle Royal.
Makes sense because the front line, that's all they're doing is wrestling down there.
And, I mean, look at some of the bigger guys. Bill Goldberg, ex-Atlanta Falcons player, became a big star. A lot of these kind of wash-out football players. My knee's too fucked up for football, but it's just fine for wrestling kind of a thing. September 4th, 1995 is, first of all, 94, the Giants retired Lawrence Taylor's jersey in 94. 95, they retire Phil Simms' jersey.
Oh.
So what they do is they have a halftime celebration. I believe it was Monday Night Football, the opening game of the year. They have the big halftime celebration, and they got Sims and LT comes out too to the field because they're in the Blue Honor thing.
Right.
So Sims says, I'll throw you a pass to LT.
Yeah.
So now LT's committed to catching this pass on national television. And he has, you know what I mean? So
he doesn't catch balls. How about I sack you? Let's do that.
Yeah. How about you stand there and see if you can run away from me? Sims said, all of a sudden it kind of hit me. I've put Lawrence in a really tough spot. National TV. He's got dress shoes on and a sport jacket. And he's even had a few beers. And he's got to run down the field and I'm going to throw him a pass.
This is a bad idea.
Yeah. He said that he told him to run 30 to 40 yards.
Oh, my God.
Said,
what?
Really good. And he did. He threw the ball, and Taylor said that was the more nervous than he'd ever been on any play in his whole career.
I believe it.
He said, I'm saying to myself as the pass is being thrown, if I drop this pass, I got to run my black ass all the way back to Upper Saddle River because there ain't no way I'm going to be able to stay in that stadium. Pure embarrassment. He did catch the pass, though.
Oh, phew.
They went crazy. And Sims threw a nice pass, hit him right in fucking – it was nice. He also worked as a color commentator on the FX show Tough Man. Remember the Tough Man series they had in the 90s?
Competition?
It was called Tough Man. It was on FX, and they just have a half hour of Tough Man fights, like the Tough Man contests, like in a bar, like that sort of thing. They'd have that every week. It was a show. I remember for a while. He was a commentator on there. September 20th, 1995, he apparently took the Tough Man thing a little too seriously as he's hanging around the Giants complex, the training complex, and after a practice, which he did not participate in because he's not a player anymore, he choked a reporter.
Why'd you do that?
Not sure. April 16th, 1996, his driver's license is suspended for outstanding parking tickets in Newark, New Jersey.
He's just parking it wherever he wants?
Don't care. May 3rd, 96, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, he is arrested for trying to buy $100 worth of crack from an undercover police officer while in town for a celebrity golf tournament.
Celebrity golf, I need crack.
Yep. He was one of 15 people arrested, or 17 it turns out. He was at a crack house, and it got fucking raided. So, they said the arrests were videotaped. The police captain said he made no comment about who he was, and he didn't give us any problems.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to fucking know.
Well, that's what Taylor asked he asked the Sun News of Myrtle Beach. The press found out and came, and he said, is this going to be in the newspapers? What do you think, Lawrence?
Yeah, well, my name is Charles Baggins.
He told them, quote, you don't know what I'm going through. You don't know what I'm going through. And he said he had a lot of personal problems that led up to the incident. Yeah. He said, in New York, they're calling me a deadbeat dad. Nobody loves their kids more than I do. My whole world seems like it's in the toilet. Well, it's going to be in the toilet now.
Yep.
You guys are fucking killing me, man.
It's $100 worth of crack. Let me go.
Well, once he got released from jail, he autographed footballs and pictures at the Yesterday's Nightlife, which is called, it's a celebrity auction that helps, I don't know, some charity. And also the general manager of the Yachtsman Hotel where he was staying said that Taylor was still planning to play in the golf tournament on Saturday. So it's all good. Yeah. The court agrees to drop the charges if he agrees to do 60 hours of public service.
Deal. I'm in.
Deal. Done. He also enters a drug program as well here. He enrolled in a pretrial intervention program that would help wipe the charges if he completed it. 60 hours of community service, random drug testing, and drug rehabilitation. There we go. So he was starting out his community service in Myrtle Beach, where he was scheduled to speak to about 70 students about drug tests, or about drug abuse. Yep. June 4th, 1997, pleads guilty to filing a false income tax return in 1990.
Oh, Lawrence, what?
Failing to report $48,000 in income from the now defunct LT Sports Club in East Rutherford, New Jersey. It was his bar.
Probably forgot. Come on.
Yeah, he's not good at accounting. I can't picture Lawrence Taylor with like the green visor and like little reading glasses down at the end of his nose, punching up numbers on an adding machine going, this just isn't adding up. We need more write-offs, everybody. Come on, let's...
We need to cigarette burns in an ashtray. Yeah. It's not even smoking it.
Let's be fiscally responsible, people. Seriously. Jesus.
He's a crackhead, Your Honor.
Well, in 1998, he proves that by appearing in The Water Boy as himself, talking about smoking crack. So he's at least got a sense of humor.
He probably was smoking crack right then, right?
That might have been...
Was he done with it?
That might have been right after he got out of rehab, actually. Okay. We're not sure. So he might have been or he needed it for the money for crack. We're not sure. Yeah. May 13th, 1998, he is arrested in his home in a roundup of deadbeat parents. They just did like a big warrant, search. He was released after 10 hours in jail when a friend paid $6,000 in child support and for an outstanding traffic violation. They're like, oh, you have another warrant too. So good. We got you twice.
All these parking tickets and deadbeat. Like the worst, the lowest of the low offenses. That's so shitty.
At least he didn't diddle any kids yet.
Yeah.
So October 19th, 1998, he's arrested again, also in Florida here.
Yeah.
Or this time in Florida, before it was South Carolina, for buying $50 worth of crack from an undercover cop and possessing drug paraphernalia.
Right after saying don't do that.
Jesus fucking Christ, man. Right after the water boy and everything. Members of the St. Pete Beach Special Response Team entered his hotel room shortly after 2 a.m. and arrested him and Victoria Corey, some other, who was identified as an employee of LT Enterprises. Yeah. My cock is an enterprise right now. We're going to do coke off it. He's posted a $15,000 bond there, $50 worth of crack from an undercover officer. Excellent. Damn. Nice work. The Sandpiper Resort Hotel.
Oh, in St. Pete?
In St. Pete Beach, yeah. So there he is. Holy Jesus Christ. He said, I don't plan on coming back that way unless I'm going to play golf.
Yeah. Stay away from Clearwater.
Now, he talks later on, he'll talk about this. In a 2004 interview, he'll talk about this time. And he says, I think this is the time for an in their own words here. What do you say, Jimmy? I think an in their own words would be appropriate. In their own words, quote, I saw coke as the only bright spot in my future. I had gotten really bad. I mean, my place was almost like a crack house. Not where you sold it, but I had a lot of stuff in my house. What the fuck is that? It was an hell of an expensive party, let me tell you.
I believe it.
He said that he was spending in 2000, or at that time, he was spending $1,000 a day on escort services and often calling 6 prostitutes a day.
Oh, my God.
So this is crack and sex. He needs that input. He can't.
That's crazy, though, because when you do that much, you can't even come. What's the point, man?
That's why he needs 6 of them. That one's not working. I need a different one.
She's
for
all
him.
dry.
It's
Next.
He would blame her, not him.
Yeah.
It's got to be her. So November 1998, he declares Chapter 7 bankruptcy 4 days after entering drug rehab in New Jersey. Yeah. Not going well.
That lifestyle is unsustainable.
He's over $350,000 in debt at this point.
Oh, God.
Now 1999, he appears in Any Given Sunday, the very large Oliver Stone movie, as Luther Shark LeVay. Mm-hmm. Luther LeVay, the chainsawing guy. So does 2 months of drug rehab.
Okay. He's taking it serious.
Yeah. And then August of 1999, he had to clean up because he's got to make a public appearance. Yeah. He is inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And there was a lot of reporters who were like, well, he shouldn't be able to do. He gets arrested for crack. It's like, shut the fuck up. Ask Joe Theismann if he should be in the Hall of Fame. Shut up. There's not a player on that field who wouldn't say that, especially if he was in the room, they wouldn't say that. So let him in the Hall of Fame.
He's asking everybody that's ever been on the field with him at the same time. I guarantee they agree.
So him, Eric Dickerson, Ozzie Newsome, the all-time, that's another, I forgot about Ozzie Newsome, all-time great tight end, pass-catching tight end for the Browns, too, from that period. Tom Mack, Billy Shaw, so good class he goes in with.
No doubt.
2000, he is in Shaft, the Shaft remake as Lamont.
Samuel Jackson?
Yeah, he's Lamont in that. Okay. And also appears on the Jamie Foxx show as doing something there. Appears in Arliss as himself that year.
Awesome. What a show.
Yeah, does the movie Mercy Streets as Dan. This Mercy Streets stars Eric Roberts. And let me pitch this one to you, Jimmy. Let me give you the old elevator pitch here.
Here's the thing about Eric Roberts. If he's in the movie, it's probably not a good movie.
Pope of Greenwich Village is excellent.
The Dark Knight's a good movie, too, though, but he's barely in it. Is he a lot in the Pope?
Yeah, he's one of the main. It's him and Mickey Rourke are the two main characters.
There's another guy. Like if he's in it, I'm almost out.
It's a real dark, dirty, like early '80s New York street movie. Okay. It's a good movie actually. You should check it out if you haven't seen it.
He's such a terrible actor.
He goes away and comes back. Estranged twin brothers, one a con man, the other an Episcopal deacon, accidentally switch places and find God in the process.
Oh, boy. Eric
Holy
Roberts and LT?
shit. Twin brothers, Jimmy. They're twin brothers.
Yeah.
2002, he's a voice in Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
Is he really?
Fuck yeah, he's B.J. Smith there. So then he appears on a TV show called Body and Soul, which looks fucking terrible. He plays Fury Crenshaw, which is a terrible name to give him. Here's the description on this show. Dr. Rachel Griffin returns from the Far East, planning on incorporating alternative medicine with traditional practices. Her mentor, Dr. Isaac Braun, is skeptical, and Administrator Quentin Bremer outright hostile. That's the show.
It is crazy that gets made. Are you shitting
That's the
me?
show. That's the show, and we don't have a small town murder TV show, but that's a show. Okay. Small town murder. Yeah, no one would watch a show called Small Town Murder. That would go do terrible on a streamer. Yeah, okay.
That is unbelievable.
Keep your eyes out, though, because
somebody pitched that, and they were like, fuck yes.
Fuck yes. 2.9 out of 10 on IMDb.
There's no way.
It lasted one season.
That was absolutely packaged with something else. They were like, if you want this, you have to make this also,
You
right?
never know, though. Who knows, man?
What a piece of shit.
I don't know what network it was, too. Who knows what kind of... That sounds like shit, though.
Wow.
2003 is in another movie called In Hell. Who stars in that? Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I'd watch
Hell yeah. Taylor plays, he doesn't even have a name. He's just 451 in this movie.
What?
So that's it. Here's what this movie's about. A man must survive a prison where hardened criminals battle to the death for the warden's entertainment.
Yes.
Yes. Excellent.
As long as it stars Jean-Claude, I'm in.
Excellent. Let me guess. He's one of the better fighters in there, I'm going to say, right?
He's the hero, right?
Just a guess.
And he's wrongfully convicted, likely, right?
Maybe, possibly. They thought he killed his wife, but it was really some other terrible guy who ends up in the prison and he has to fight him to the death. Is that the plot? Did we just nail it?
That's it. If it's
Think
not,
that's it.
you blew it.
Yeah, if it's not, you can make part 2, and that's what it's about. So enjoy, everybody. You can have that in hell, producers. 2003 in November, he does 60 Minutes LT, sits down for one of those big schmaltzy 60 Minutes interviews, which mean nothing now, but even 20 years ago, those were a big deal, and everybody watched them. They'd be on after football. This is pre-streaming, so people still had to watch television, so it was a big deal.
And you got to answer the fucking hard questions.
Yeah, this is where they try to make you cry and shit. This is to promote his autobiography, which is coming out, LT Over the Edge.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
have that
baby.
book.
Oh, I do. I have, again, full disclosure, in my studio here, when we're done, we can walk out and peruse, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I have so many fucking Lawrence Taylor autographs here. I have a picture of him over Randall Cunningham, who looks like he's dead, and he's like doing the finger things. I have several helmets of different sizes. Yeah. LT was a bad motherfucker with the signature. I have so many LT autographs. It's ridiculous. And I love it, and I want more. Starting lineup players. I got everything else. There's an LT Christmas ornament on our tree right now. Right now.
Fantastic.
LT, fucking full uniform doing his thing. So it's at this point, too, that LT Jr. is playing for North Carolina Central University.
Oh.
LT Jr., 6'2", 230, trying to play defensive like his dad here.
He's playing for North Carolina Junior.
Junior. Doesn't work out so much. No. That's got to be brutal to be Lawrence Taylor Jr. out there.
I don't understand that. You can't.
Unless you're walking on water, you can't impress anybody. You really can't. It's like being Mickey Mantle Jr.
I feel bad for Bronny. LeBron's kid, there's no way he's going to be as good. There's no way.
That's why Michael Jordan's kid stopped playing in college. He was like, I'm not him. Sorry. Sorry, not him. Thanks. I try my best. I don't know. I know, my dad's great. Thanks. I love hearing it. It's terrific.
Steph's better than Dell, but he's not Dell Jr., so it's fine.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That you can do that. Yeah, it's a lot easier. The only one is Ken Griffey.
Yeah.
Because his dad wasn't a superstar, though. His dad was a good player, not a superstar. If you're a superstar.
With him, that's crazy.
That was awesome. That was really cool.
Amazing.
2004, he's in an episode of The Sopranos as himself.
What?
Yeah, he's in an episode of The Sopranos there. So he's getting around, man. He's a Northeast legend.
James, I have seen The Sopranos, and I don't remember that.
Where the fuck, what was he on The Sopranos? He was himself, but I'm trying to remember the situation that it was in.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was a golf thing or
was he in the Bing and getting a blowjob and coke?
I don't think so. I think it was like at some event. It was trying to show that I'm not sure. I don't remember now.
Okay.
So
it's got to be one of the golf outings, right?
Don't
With the
probably or
boss?
something.
Yeah.
Don't tweet us because we'll figure it out by the time
I'll
we'll
watch
figure
it
this
tonight.
out. We'll figure this out before you even hear this episode. So we got it. Thank you. He releases his book, Over the Edge. There.
What a book!
It's a wild fucking book. He said though, LT died a long time ago, and I don't miss him at all. All that's left is Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
LT's dead. 2006, he pops back into the public eye here. He's on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
It's an issue dedicated to former athletes and sports figures. He says that his hobby of golf helps him get over his hard partying ways. He doesn't do it anymore because he's just golfing now.
It's the only white rock he needs.
That's it, man. It's a big one.
Yeah. It's got
His
a
ball,
bunch of divots in it.
His ball is made of coke just in case he needs it.
The ball he hits around is much smaller and a little rockier. It looks more like a rock.
It's not quite even. Doesn't roll right, but works for me.
Hit it right in the hole.
He also co-founds X-Fuse, small E, big X, F-U-Z-E. X-Fuse.
What the fuck is that?
A network marketing company based in West Palm Beach, Florida, along with former players Eric Dickerson and Seth Joyner, the old Eagles linebacker.
Oh, God, they're going to be sued, aren't they?
Yeah, he was a spokesman also for 7 Plus, which was a multi-botanical drink produced by the company, and this never went anywhere, obviously. It's a pyramid thing. It's what Dee was doing on selling juice drinks. It's what Dee was doing on Always Sunny. That's what it is.
It's the berries.
Yeah, it's the berries.
It's the berries.
You don't know why, but you need them. It's antioxidants. So 2007, he's in the movie The Comebacks, which he plays himself, which is a spoofs inspirational sports movies, it says. It's a movie about an out-of-luck coach. It's got like David Koechner in it and shit like that. April 2009, he is with dance. He's on Dancing with the Stars, Jimmy.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
Fuck it. His partner, who the fuck is this? Adja Slewinski?
Who she is fucking hot.
I saw she's very hot and a good dancer.
Yeah.
Let's go over the people here quickly.
Okay.
Belinda Carlisle.
Yeah.
We're not going to go over the dancers because I don't know who any of these people are. It's a bunch of fucking Russians.
Yeah.
Maxim Sheramiskovsky. Who the hell? I don't know who that is.
I saw him at Disneyland.
Really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
With his kids, and I was like, can I get a picture with you? Because I know who you are, and I hate this.
That's funny. Bothering people.
I did.
So we got Belinda Carlisle, Denise Richards, Holly Madison, the Hugh Hefner's, Steve Wozniak, the Apple co-founder.
Yeah.
I wonder if that computer guy can dance. No, I don't care.
That tubby fuck. He's fat as shit.
David Alan Greer, who did like musical comedy. I'm sure he was probably pretty good at it. Steve O, Lawrence Taylor, Chuck Wicks. I was a country singer. That's why I don't know who that is. I was going to go, whoever the fuck that is. Lil Kim, of course.
Yeah.
Ty Murray. Again, I don't know who that is because he's a rodeo cowboy. That's why I don't know who he is.
I think he won.
Melissa Rycroft. Nope, eliminated 10th.
Oh,
almost. They came close.
Yeah, yeah.
Gilles Marini. I don't know who that is. And then
Giles?
Sean Giles. I don't know who it is, so maybe. And then Shawn Johnson, the Olympic gymnast,
she's
won
amazing.
the thing. She won it because she's a fucking gymnast. So yeah,
she's
obviously.
amazing. Yeah.
But LT lasted 7 weeks.
No shit.
Yeah, he did pretty well. Not too shabby. He's an athlete, man.
Yeah.
His son Brandon at that time signs a letter of intent to go to Purdue as well.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a football player. He's a defensive lineman. Does very well. He leaves after 3 years due to academic issues, though. And also, he doesn't have a lot of sacks either. He has 1 sack, half a sack. So doesn't do too well. November 2009. He's doing great, LT, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's doing great. He's arrested in Miami.
Oh, God.
For leaving the scene of an accident.
Yeah.
He's charged with property damage. He's released on a $500 bond. A Florida Highway Patrol spokesman said he was involved in a hit-and-run accident. He said he thought he hit a guardrail, but instead it was an Escalade.
Those are
slightly different. Slightly different. So he's charged with that quickly there. Jesus Christ.
That was an Escalade. How big a car is he driving that
these guardrails
rubbed the guardrail and it was an Escalade?
Fucking Cadillac Escalade. It's a giant SUV. I know, I was like, he might be smoking crack again.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest SUVs on the road.
Holy shit. May 6th, 2010, he is arrested in a Holiday Inn here in a motel.
No.
Accused of he's charged with raping a teenage girl.
Yeah, I imagine that's what happens at Holiday Inns.
That's what happens at Holiday Inns in New Jersey, anyway. Her name is Christina Fierro. She's released her name and done all that. She said she didn't know who he was when she got there. She didn't know. Yeah, she didn't know Lawrence Taylor because he hasn't played since she's been alive.
Right.
So literally. So she said she walked in the room, found him naked on a bed there. She says another man, her pimp, forced her to have sex with Lawrence Taylor for $300.
Oh, God.
She said that she says, though, that she told Taylor that she was 19, and so did the pimp, said she was, because Taylor was wondering, and they go, oh, she's 19.
Boy, does she look young.
Yeah. She said that, quote, Lawrence said this, quote, he said I had nice curly hair like his wife. What a weird thing to say to a prostitute.
Oh, God.
This reminds me of my wife is just the weirdest thing to say. Well, you could probably have sex with her if you went home. I don't know. That's an idea.
For much less than $300.
Or more. We don't know. So she said he told her she was pretty as he massaged her after she turned her back to him. She said she went to the bathroom then to call her uncle, who told her to dial 911.
Oh, my God.
She said she did so and left the phone in her bag, quote, waiting for officers to come and banging on the door and to come get me, but the police never showed up.
Jesus.
They never showed up. So, she said that Taylor got on top of her as she squirmed and she tried to push him away, but she said it felt like I wasn't making a difference because of how big he was compared to me. She told him it was her first time, which, by the way, it's not. But that doesn't matter. She told him it was her first time, and he replied, just relax, which is not the reply to anything sexual at all. That's not good.
Were the police on dial right now at this moment, or was this before the phone call?
This is after the phone call. She called, and then this happened.
She called, left the phone in her bag, and then this shit happened.
Yeah.
God.
This is going on. She said it was really rough and painful. She said since then she was suicidal and all that sort of thing. She said that when the sex was over, Taylor, quote, just pulled out money and said, here, can you turn the TV off on your way out? This is a very normal transaction for...
He's done this so many times.
Oh, man. When she got back to the car of the man, her pimp, here, who had ordered her to have sex with him, she called her uncle and told him in Spanish that calling 911 didn't work. So the police were waiting when the car arrived back at the guy's house, though. I guess the uncle called, too, and said, fucking go there and fucking do this. The man is later sentenced to 7 years in prison for pimping her out, by the way. That's great. But Lawrence Taylor's lawyer said, quote, my client did not have sex with anybody, period. Lawrence Taylor did not rape anybody. Well, have sex with them or rape them? Those are big differences there. So, I mean, at this point, Taylor doesn't know what to do. He's very worried. He's in his house. He's like, good God, they're coming for me. Yeah. They're coming. I'm doing coke. I got hookers. This is not good. And then there's a knock on the door, and it's Nutrisystem canceling him as it's not one of our guys. It's Nutrisystem, who he got an endorsement deal with.
Their products.
And they are dropping his ass. As he pleads not guilty to charges of third-degree rape and patronizing a prostitute in the third degree.
We're gonna call Lasorda again. We're done with you.
Yeah, this is at least he doesn't. He blows back up again with the weight, but at least he's not doing this. This is crazy. Nutrisystem said, "We are shocked and saddened by these very serious allegations against Lawrence Taylor. Based on the severity of these allegations, Nutrisystem has made the decision to sever our relationship with Mr. Taylor effective immediately."
Yeah.
He's out. So then he's really depressed. He's sitting at home. He's like, fuck, what am I going to do now? This is ridiculous. I don't know what to do. Where do I go?
A chemical weight loss shake.
Damn it. If only I had an ounce of crack to smoke today, things would be so much better. And then there's a knock at the door.
Yeah.
Again, he opens it. Who's canceling my shit now? But it's nobody. He's looking at two guns blazing, and it's the Mexican pimp standing there. And he says, "How is it you've come to arrive here? Why are you here? Why? You make a big mistake, see, Lawrence. What you do, you don't jump on girl. You don't jump on girl. Girl valuable. You sell her. That's what you do. See, I would have sold her to the highest bidder. I would have told the man in the car, now she is mine. And then you sell her to somebody else. You know nothing, Lawrence. See, people say you are stupid for doing drugs. I think you are a terrible businessman. Just terrible. No good.
Don't buy, you sell.
No good. You sell. It's no good. That's what I mean. You don't know how to do this, Lawrence. I'll take over for you. That's okay. Pour the tequila. And then poof, in a cloud of tequila and shells, he's gone. And Taylor's very confused and wondering if the crack is causing hallucinations. Which this is basically, by the way, I made sure it was the Mexican pimp because this is the exact scenario the actual Mexican pimp came from.
Yeah.
It's almost exactly the same with Willie Mays Aikens and the actual Mexican pimp coming to the door and going, "Why are you here? How is it you've come to arrive here? What's wrong with you?"
Do we know if this girl, who obviously speaks Spanish, was the man a Mexican pimp?
No, I don't think he was because she spoke Spanish and he didn't understand in the car.
Got it.
So in March of 2011, he's going to plead guilty to patronizing a prostitute and criminal sexual misconduct is the whole thing here. So it's not a rape scenario. It's a different thing. They're not going to get him on like underage shit because he thought that everybody
pitched it as a 19-year-old, yeah.
So the sentencing comes around. Still not good, though. This is not good for him. He's sentencing.
How about you don't fuck somebody if you have to ask, hey, wait, how old are you?
That's the thing. Also, find someone who'll do it for free. It's more fun that way. That's the other thing.
Good point, yeah.
So the judge says, you, sir, may fuck off 6 years probation.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
In what year?
2011.
Wow.
Was
that long ago?
Yeah, it was 11 years ago this whole thing happened. He says, they ask him, what the fuck, bro? Like, what's the deal? Yeah. And after the judgment comes down, he says this. This is amazing. Quote, "I'm not the cause of prostitution. And sometimes I make mistakes and I may go out there, and I didn't go pick her up on no playground. She wasn't hiding behind the school bus or getting off a school bus. This is a working girl that came to my room." He's like, "I've done this 1,000 times. They're never 15. This is crazy."
I've never ordered a prostitute and a child showed up.
Never.
How was I to know?
That's like ordering a pizza and a rotisserie chicken comes. Like, I didn't order this. I ordered a pizza. These are different foods.
I've been ordering these since 83. Not once.
Not once did a rotisserie chicken show up. He says it's not his fault. Quote, "The world of prostitution is at fault here." Just the whole world of it.
God. What is he doing?
Here, it gets better, man. It gets better. It gets better. Quote, "You never know what you're going to get." Yeah. Prostitutes are like boxes of chocolates. Isn't that what Forrest Gump said? Prostitutes are like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Isn't that how that went?
Oh, my God. He's an idiot.
He said, "Is it going to be a pretty girl, an ugly girl, or whatever it's going to be? I don't card them. I don't ask for a birth certificate."
Maybe
you should. Maybe you should if you have any idea. He doesn't consider soliciting prostitutes a serious crime. It's the world's oldest profession as far as he's concerned. He said, I guess you could call it a crime. I mean, if you're looking at like law books and statutes and things, I guess you could call it a crime. It's one of those crimes you don't think about. Well, what?
No.
He does.
A lot of people think
A lot of people do. He said, you never think you're going to get busted because everyone does it. No, they don't.
Hold on, sir.
What kind of life is the NFL where they go, everyone does it? I mean, Jesus Christ.
How removed from everyday life is Lawrence Taylor?
Everyone does it. I mean, it's very normal. He says until you do get busted, then it's more embarrassing than anything else. He used to, by the way, this is famous. I don't know if everybody knows about it, though, but he used to send, to fuck with them, he'd send escorts and prostitutes to offensive linemen's doors the night before games of hotel room. Yeah, some left tackle would have three girls show up, and he wouldn't shoo them away.
Right.
And Lawrence would tell him, drain that motherfucker. I want him to be tired tomorrow. Every edge counts.
He would send them pictures of kamikazes in clubs.
Yeah.
And then they would go back to their room hammered, and then he'd send them girls. So they'd be
coke.
drunk, and they'd be hungover and drained of all...
And coke, too. They'd be doing coke all night. Yeah.
And they'd be drained of all energy and seminal fluid.
Oh, my God. So Fierro, the young girl, she sues him.
Good.
Civil suit.
Yeah.
His attorney, Taylor's attorney, Arthur Idala, said in his opening statement that Taylor never used violence, never threatened Fierro, and thought she was sent by a friend who offered female companionship. A pimp. He said that Taylor, quote, did have sex with a woman who's 16 years, 11 months, and 3 weeks old.
What?
I don't know how to... I wouldn't
you can say girl in that scenario, sir. That is not a woman.
I think 17 is the age of consent in New Jersey, is what he's getting at. A week later, this would have been fine. Still very gross, though. That's the thing. He's in his
17
50s.
17 is no good.
No good. Then the lawyer said, I'm not condoning what he did.
Yeah, you are.
He said, it's a crime and he's been punished for it. He said, though, the lawsuit seeking punitive damages is a money grab simply because of his fame. Yeah. So they asked the judge, by the way, the defense asked the judge if he could, if it could be admitted into the trial that they have a rape kit that she took that showed semen of 2 other men, including Taylor, in it as well.
Oh, God.
So I don't see why that makes that doesn't make a difference. She's not saying she was a virgin. She's saying, I was turning tricks. This guy was making me turn tricks, and I did it to her. The point is, you had sex with a 16-year-old girl. That's disgusting, and now you got to pay a couple bucks.
I think she's proving that he did. And maybe we'll sort out the other 2 later, but right now we're proving that he did.
Where are they? Yeah. He testified that he lost lucrative speaking engagements and endorsement deals since this whole thing, and it's taken a toll on him already. During the closing arguments, her lawyer said he took a terrorized 16-year-old girl and used her like a piece of meat. And the defense attorney said that Fierro was no innocent here. This is an odd way to fucking approach this, I would say. He said that she dropped out of high school at age 14, worked as a pole dancer at strip clubs, and ran around town with a bottle of Hennessy in her purse. He then said, there are 16-year-olds and there are 16-year-olds.
What is happening? He's defined her. There's a sack and there's a sack. There's
open rape season, everyone. Look in her purse. If there's a bottle of Hennessy in there, have at her. And then just throw a couple of bucks on top of her afterwards, and it's totally fine. It's perfectly okay.
Because she's not a 16-year-old. She's a 16-year-old.
16-year-old, yeah. Holy shit. So
what is happening?
The jury comes back. After only 50 minutes, they come back very quickly, and they clear Taylor of everything. She gets not a fucking dime. Nothing.
How bad of a reputation does Hennessy have?
That's what I mean. They're like, well, she had Hennessy in there. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Snoop Dogg talks about it all the time. That shit's bad news.
Fuck, man. So Taylor insisted outside the courtroom that he'd learned a lesson. Mm-hmm. He said the day before, though, he said he'd still continue to be paying hookers for sex, in his words. But now he said, now he won't. He changed his mind. He said, it's a different world. You have to govern yourself accordingly, is what he said. And then he said about the young lady, Fierro, he said, I feel for what she has gone through. At that time, if she had said something, I would have helped her. I wasn't a bad person. I hope she gets her life together. I hope the best for her. And they said, well, what do you plan on doing now? He said, this is a time for me to concentrate on mending my own broken life. Good call. A juror here they interviewed said he felt terrible for the girl, but he said they believed the sex was consensual and that Fierro was victimized by her pimp, Rashid Davis, who beat her and forced her to go to the room. The guy said she may have been shell-shocked, but none of us believe that Mr. Taylor should have been or could have been aware of what transpired. He just, he just ordered a woman and one showed up, and he didn't know. That's what they're saying. So, July 7th, 2013, Lawrence Jr. is arrested.
Oh?
For molesting 13-year-old girls.
Oh, Lawrence.
Not good.
What?
Yeah. So, one girl reported he molested her the day before he was arrested. They later found out he'd also assaulted a second victim 4 or 5 times since 2012.
He's like 30.
Yep. Yeah, he is. Absolutely. He's like 34. May 2015, LT Jr. pleads guilty. And he is it's a plea to guilty of sexually assaulting 2 13-year-old girls between 2012 and 2013.
Yuck.
Holy fucking shit. The prosecutor said, quote, resolving this case with a guilty plea provides the victims with finality and prevents them from having to relive their experiences on the witness stand. Justice was done in this case, not only because the defendant will serve in prison, as we'll talk about, but because the victims will not have to be put through the emotional toll of a trial.
What did he plead to?
This is some serious junior behavior here.
Yeah.
I would say the pinnacle of it. He gets, you, sir, may fuck off, 10 years in prison and another 20 suspended on probation.
Holy shit.
So he fucks up
His
once.
Life's over.
Yeah, he fucks up once. He's back in prison for 20 years. He's fucked. So he's in deep shit. Deep shit. June 2016, this is senior again, junior's in prison, domestic violence going down at the Taylor home.
Oh, Jesus.
It's not him doing the beating, though.
Oh, he's getting his ass kicked.
No, his wife gets arrested for beating him in the head with an unknown object. Hit him in the back of the head with it.
Yeah.
She's also arrested for resisting arrest as well. Said it was a fight started for unknown reasons, and Lynette threw objects across the family room where she was sitting on a recliner into the kitchen area where Taylor was standing, according to the report. When the cops arrived, Lynette said, yeah, I threw it at him. That's right. She then pulled away from officers because they went to cuff her right then. Right. Did you assault him? Yep. Okay, you're under arrest. She then pulled away from officers and tried to hit them with her arms and kick them with her legs as they tried to arrest her.
Unbelievable.
She also yelled profanities at the cops at and during being taken into custody. She told the cops, quote, yeah, I beat his motherfucking ass. I made him bleed. That's her quote to the cops.
I did it on behalf of Joe Theismann.
That's it. It's for Joe Theismann. So Lawrence does not want to prosecute, according to the report. She denies the allegation. She said, that's a lie. My husband's a 300-pound linebacker. Yeah. Okay, but that doesn't mean you didn't throw something at him.
Right.
And quote,
they still bleed.
Yeah, and beat his motherfucking ass.
I want to know what happened.
I do too. What caused that fight?
Yeah. Did he call her a cunt? Is that what happened?
Had to be. Maybe it's all the prostitutes. Who knows? Yeah. September 2016, arrested again. LT. Boy. We thought you were good now, man.
Yeah, I thought
we
you were
really
fixing your broken life.
Fuck. Arrested following a crash on the Florida Turnpike at 5:20 p.m. He attempted to switch lanes and sideswiped a stopped patrol car.
Oh, no.
He hit a stopped police car.
He hit a car.
Oh, my. I thought it was a guardrail. Then sirens came on. He took a breathalyzer test, 2 breathalyzer tests, 5 hours after the crash.
Uh-oh.
You know how much your shit goes down 5 hours?
digest that so fast.
His tests are still a .082 and a .084, which are still above the Florida legal limit at that point. But he was
.15 or better.
At least, absolutely. Yeah. 5 hours? Holy shit. So June 2017, he has his license revoked for 9 months. He's got to have an ignition lock system on his car for 6 months. He's required to perform 75 hours of community service, attend DUI school, pay $1,500 in court fees, and you, sir, may fuck off 12 months of probation.
Okay.
To add to his already fucking 6 years of probation.
He's in trouble.
Yeah, he's got. His probation's probably up right about now because that was March 2011 that he got the probation,
right. Yeah.
So it's probably up. So I mean, Jesus, you gotta. When someone is so, imagine Michael Jordan fucking his life up this bad. You know what I mean? When someone is so good at something, at that point you almost feel bad for them, almost.
Yeah.
But you know who I really feel bad for, Jimmy? Not as bad as I feel. For Lawrence Taylor, founder and president at Christina Development Corporation in Malibu, California. Mm-hmm. Lawrence Taylor, general counsel at Acor Capital in San Francisco. Lawrence Taylor, client relationship executive. Would you let this guy have client relationships? In Columbia, South Carolina. Lawrence Taylor, chief financial officer. We know that's not our guy. At the Ascendant Group in Elkton, Maryland. Lawrence Taylor, ensuring democracy and fairness through best-known parliamentary practices in Astoria, Oregon. Don't know what the fuck that means. Lawrence Taylor, who wrote a book. This is Dr. Lawrence Taylor, Ph.D., wrote a book called As Many as I Love, Suicide, the Church, and the Believer.
Jesus Christ. I'll bet that's a little less dark than it actually Lawrence
Taylor's life. Totally. And then another Lawrence Taylor who wrote a book. Lawrence Taylor wrote Insta Daddy, the saga of a newborn father. Insta Daddy.
I hate that book already.
And then finally, down in Australia, Jennifer Lawrence Taylor. The young lady, a lecturer in human-computer interaction at the Australian National University.
Wow.
2019, he's in a movie called Storm Cell.
What?
As Mayor Donovan. Imagine Lawrence Taylor as your mayor. Storm Cell.
Address the public as the fucking hurricane approaches.
I could barely find information about this movie. It's so fucking low-brow shit. So no good there. December 2021, Jesus Christ, Lawrence Taylor is arrested again.
Oh, God.
He's arrested here. This time, he's fighting with his wife, so he's been living in a hotel since April.
Yeah.
Because he's fighting with his wife. He gets arrested for failing to report a change of address as a sex offender.
Oh, no.
He's supposed to do that. So he said he didn't know he was supposed to do that because he's still, technically a resident there. He just has been staying here. They said his attorney said it's just a mix-up. This is the same attorney.
How do you report your address as the Holiday Inn?
Yeah, it's the same attorney. He said, sadly, he's in the middle of a divorce, and his local police department suggested it would be best if he slept at a nearby hotel. Mr. Taylor was constantly a resident of the marital home where he was registered, but on advice of law enforcement, he was sleeping outside the home. We're confident that this will be resolved favorably for Lawrence at the first court hearing. That's kind of a mix-up. So September 2022, though, he is good now. This is just recently.
Should be, yeah.
Totally good now. Here's some questions from his career. They said, do you wish you could have played in this era now? Holy shit. Yes. What are you talking about? It's wide open. He would have he would dominate.
But he's not allowed to hit anybody.
You can still tackle people. Doesn't matter.
No, you can't, because sacks are considered roughing the passer now. He wouldn't be able to do anything.
He'd be chasing guys down. He'd be you think Rob Gronkowski would have 5 fucking yards against him if he was covering him as a tight end?
Maybe not.
No. A guy like him, dominant in any era. Sorry.
Yeah.
You could put him in 1945. You could put him in 2045. He's going to be up your quarterback's ass, period.
He'd be flagged and fined every week, I think.
Well, he obviously couldn't fucking tackle the same way and do those things, but he could get around an offensive lineman.
Adjust, James. With how much fucking coke and crack he was doing.
Well, that was the way he played because you're allowed to play like that. I mean, if his body was born 20 years ago rather than 50 or 60 years ago. I think it's no problem. He said, well, I guess I wish I could have played. Yeah, because you know what? He said, I'd be getting one of them big-ass contracts.
Yeah.
He said it would have been nice to play in this era, especially now that they're throwing the ball. They're throwing a third more times now. They're putting the ball in the air. There's a lot more chance for sacks. They said sacks or sex. Which do you like better, sacks or sex?
Yeah.
He said, well, one of them's harder to get, okay? One is real hard to get, but sacks are a little bit easier. If you're sacking the right person, you're getting them both. Ew. Gross.
I thought he was going to say sacks are harder to get.
Yeah,
Did he say that?
yeah. No, he's been laid a lot more times than he has sacks, I'll tell you that.
What is he talking about?
3 dinner guests. Anybody, anytime, all time. 3 dinner guests. Reggie White. My grandmother.
Yeah.
His grandmother, not my grandmother.
All right.
And Michael Jackson. Is the oddest.
That's a bizarre answer.
And what does the interviewer say? Not, wow, weird trio. Michael Jackson. He says, why your grandmother? What? What? That's the least. What are you talking about? He says she pretty much was the person that molded me into who I am. Okay. Yeah. They said favorite actor. He said my favorite all-time actor, me.
Oh my God.
Favorite entertainer, Michael Jackson. That goes without saying. He wants to have dinner with him. Favorite meal, pork chops, collard greens, cornbread, mashed potatoes, and a lot of gravy.
Oh.
Shit, yeah, that sounds good. What is life like right now? I'm actually right now in the best space I've been in years. In years. Why is that? I got new people in my life. I got a new partner in my life. It doesn't take much to make me happy. Just hookers, coke, millions of dollars, world adulation, Super Bowl rings, things like that, but not a lot. He said, I'm happy with doing a little bit of traveling, sitting on my golf cart, playing some golf, and my kids are doing well. My grandkids are doing well. Well, one of your kids is doing well. Jesus, the balls on him. My one's a child molester, but the other ones are great.
My kids are doing well. No, they're not.
Good God. And people see me all the time now and say, man, you know what? You must be doing something right. This is the best I've felt in years. Everyone, he's good now. I expect him never to have another interaction with any police for the rest of his life. Right, Jimmy? He's
I
good
am
now.
shocked.
He's good now. Can't get enough of Lawrence Taylor. Well, there is so much Lawrence Taylor memorabilia. I can't even tell you where to start because he's a hero here,
And
big
it's
time
growing.
in New York.
He'll sign shit till the day he dies to pay his bills.
Absolutely. But if you really can't get enough of him, you can rent him. Buy Lawrence Taylor for yourself. Go to athletespeakers.com. You can book him for your next event. He does corporate appearances, speaking engagements, meet and greets, endorsements, virtual events. Fee range, he travels from Miami, by the way. Fee range $20,000 to $30,000.
Okay.
That's a lot. And then you can also, though, if you're looking for a discounted Lawrence Taylor, you can go to Sports Speakers 360, which is a different site that has him on there. There they have him for $10,000 to $20,000. So you might be able to get him a little cheaper on that one.
James, that is, if I can find them, I want to send him to your house for
to rent Lawrence Taylor for us
for a day. Just to sit and tell you stories of the NFL. He would not, James, he would be terrible in the NFL today. Because he was born into, he would be so fucking drug hungry still. He would get a taste of it eventually.
It doesn't matter. If you take that guy, you take him and you put him in now, every fucking play is shotgun with a spread offense and no backs to block. He would be fucking killing people.
Would $120 million be able to keep him clean, you think?
It would probably keep him in a lot of crack. I think he'd smoke a better quality of crack maybe that would keep him on the straight and narrow.
Undetectable crack.
Undetectable crack. He'll have scientists working in laboratories around the clock to find an undetectable crack. I've done it. That said, everybody, that is Lawrence fucking Taylor.
What a show.
That is Lawrence Taylor, and that is he's had quite the life, and that's like going to be the 3-hour Crime and Sports. That's the whole going to be the end of that, and we will continue with more. If you listen to the one last week about the Maxim Nevasevlov,
so good. Yeah,
that's kind of what we're going to be doing a little more of, kind of punching up on stuff like that. Be a lot of fun shit, so we're very excited for that. Hope you enjoyed LT. Hope he was worth the wait. definitely, if you enjoyed it, tell the world about it. Get on
Please do.
whatever app you're listening on. It really does help to give a rating and a review and say something. It helps drive us up the charts. It helps people notice the show. And we're going to push on with Crime and Sports. We want people to notice the show. Remember the Crime and Sports movement? Let's keep it going. Tell people. Fucking harass people. Listen to Crime and Sports, you cocksucker.
If you know Lawrence Taylor, tell him.
Tell him. He'll listen, and then I got to hide from him, so that's not going to be great.
I want to buy him for you.
Oh, my God. He'll come over here and kill me. That'll be perfect. Just what I need. Come over here and chainsaw my car in half. Like, Lawrence.
I want him and his ex-wife at your Christmas.
That would be fun. Throwing shit at each other. Yeah, I beat that motherfucker's ass. I made him bleed. Fuck him. So do all of that.
Jimmie P.
It's beautiful. Also, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now. Not only can you get all your merchandise and things like that, information, but you can also get tickets to live shows for Small Town Murder 2023. All the shows through May are on sale. The rest of them will go on sale beginning of the year in January of 2023. First up, Cleveland, February 10th, St. Louis, February 11th. They're selling quick, so get them because they're going to sell out pretty goddamn fast. Social media at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook, at Small Town Murder on Instagram. Do that. Patreon.com/Crime and Sports. You get anybody $5 a month or above, you get it all. You get the access to all the back bonus episodes. There's like 150 of them. You can binge all of those. 2 new episodes every other week. 1 Crime and Sports, 1 Small Town Murder, and you get access to all of those. And this week, though, we're only going to do 1 because it's Christmas. That's our. We do 2 a week, and then we do 1 on Christmas. And this Christmas, we are going to talk about our worst comedy gigs we've ever participated in of all time.
Yeah.
From VFW halls to biker bars to outdoors when it's 112, you name it, we've fucking done it. One thing, any comedian you've seen up there, to get to the point where they're up there, they've done horrible things to get to that point. You have no idea the bad shit they've done. Yeah. So we'll talk about all of that and more. And of course, you'll get a shout out all at patreon.com/Crime and Sports. Or if you donate via PayPal, you can do that as well using our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com. What I would like to know, Jimmy, tell me a list of the people who would never, ever, 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 ever have sex with a 16-year-old girl who was sent to their room and are nice people who want to give us money. Tell me who they are right now.
This week's executive producer, Jordan Bennett. Merry Christmas to you. Susanna Platt. Donnie Munsell, Cameron Kushwara, Talina Jensen, Tara Bates in Tucson, Justine McNeil in Australia. She sent us a bunch of Australian shit.
Yes. Oh, my God. I've been eating the fuck out of that. I meant to thank you so much.
You're amazing, Justine.
We'll do on an episode, we'll talk about some of our favorites. Next time we do an Australian guy.
Yeah.
We'll talk about some of the favorite shit from in there because I've been eating so much of that shit. I love your chocolate down there. Continue. Sorry.
Continuing with executive producers Nick Blair and Brian Wyckoff. Thank you guys so much for supporting this shit that we do, and we really, really appreciate you. You're amazing. Other producers this week, truth. Other producers this week are Mark Whismer. Happy birthday, Mark.
Happy birthday.
Liz Vasquez, Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
Corporal Carl Kirshner, Doug Jones, Lisa Andrews. Happy hour checking in Roswell, New Mexico with his probeless asshole. Good for you. Cody Leversey in Michigan. Kimberly Morrow. Matt Villanueva. Thomas Smith. Hannah Quinn and her pup Gnocchi. Jennifer Inglis. Eileen Dover. Okay, got it. Proud of yourself. Terry Haas and Dory Funk Jr.
Yes.
Michael's
the Funk
old
Brothers,
boss.
baby.
Ed Truck. Oh, that's from the Office. I know that one.
Don't know that one.
Oh, that's a tough name. Suil Torres? I don't want to say Sue Heil. That cannot be right.
Sue Heil!
Diane Norman, Carbs and Crustle, Rebecca Hargreaves, Janice Hill, Sarah Surridge, Jason the Cocaine Cowboy. No, that's Cocaine Bear. What? Why did I say cowboy?
I don't know. Who the fuck knows?
Oh, boy. Megan McDermott, Shannon Olson, happy birthday.
Happy
Matt
birthday.
Perry, Jonathan Phipps, Francis Mulcahy, I believe, Jordan Harvey, Sean Ray, Jennifer Kepler, Samuel Presley, Christine Hop, I think. Christy Hop, that's what it is. Sarah Thomas, Kylie Wells, Diane Barragan, I think. Maddie Smith, Lady Sam Tonks, Maisel Mullins, Ike Chua. Ikechua? Amadi? What?
Got that?
They're probably trying to get me to say something. There's no, I'm not saying.
It's going to come out something embarrassing.
Philippe with no last name. Alyssa Rivera, Boyd Cornell, Mitch Lyons, Calvin Rowles, Zach Foster, Derek Thompson, Claire Burrito. That can't be right.
Yes.
I think Apple corrected that to something else.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Claire, whatever your last name is.
I'm sorry. I'm mad I found Sarah before I met a woman named Claire Burrito because that's irresistible.
Jason Harbaugh, Melissa Lehman, Winky Muffin, Troy Copeland, Alex Stokes, Kathleen Mysachalk, David Dalton, Lauren Calawart. What?
Yeah.
Kate Phillips, Donald Simmons, Brett Dodson, Jean, Masco, Matthew Orchard, David Hunter, Miranda Ostaforf. Vanita Ann, Tristan Shirley, M with no last name, Laura Olivia, Benjamin Hachi, Mary Candy Clark, Elijah Cook, Hannah Archer, Stephanie Betts, Melissa Mannon, Brandy Faye Langworthy, Jordan Murphy, Ginger Caldwell, Regina Elliott, Brianna Scott, Jody Vanderholm, Andrew Samarco. Sam Marco, Mike Nino, Jude LaFleur, Katie C, Nate M, Ashley Holloway, Christopher O'Brien. There's so many weird letters, and I'm sorry. Reed Hyam, Steve Pesty, Viv Wright, Lee Blair, Tom Leach, Freya Halton, Jonesy with no last name, John John Draver.
Hey, Johnny boy.
Anna Lopez Rivera, Jordan Erickson, Lindsay Wright, Michaela Pierce, Elizabeth Smith, Becky Aubrey, Jennifer Deliakowski, Beatrice Alice Soskis. Madison Trevino, Todd Lloyd, Taylor Stewart, Dennis Rivera, Gabino, Moya Jr., Kyle McDonough, Allison Ward, Jenny B., Matthew Branham, Carl Allen Kramer, Kayla Williams, Dan Rogers, Tina Cianci, all right, Megan Naunch,
Cianci,
R. Long, Miranda McElroy, Brian Logan, Shelley Norton, Yvonne Abrahantes, Patrick Alonso, Catherine Bevan, Danny Pfeiffer, Paige Holly.
Sound like you're mad at him. Danny Pfeiffer, come out now, you son of a bitch.
Get out of here, Danny. Michael Goodrich Jr., Jay Smith, Rhea Pierce, Price, Tracy Norville, Kim Corbin, Nicole Hubbard, Jordan with no last name, Allie Cook, Swasakowskiewicz, Don Pulsoni Schramm, Louise Guzman, Kathy Schrainer, Scarano, Riley Ellis, Scott Gehring, Brandon Sumter, Malcolm Jackson, Jersey Red, Derek Geiger, Lisha Milliken Warfield, Hannah Eppenbaugh. Wow. Gabriel St. James, Stephen Jaskulski, Pete Shadow, Katie Littlejohn, Cole Blankenship, The Stone Baker, Summer Lortsky, Trevor Courier, Aaron Berg, Andy, nope, that's David Petrie.
You got this, Jimmy.
Kyrie Hightower, Ghostface R5, Jenny Ham, English Mosley, Patty Pereira, Kayla Medeiros, Michael Galford, Kathy Gindel, Ashley Ovdell, Ben Beck, Claire Perek, Jacob Peterson, Maisie, Mays with no last name, Heather Sanchez, Miranda Walleye maybe, Ty Gardner, Trish Morrow, Samantha Garcia, Alex Turner, Samantha McLaughlin, Allison Moritz, Fletcher with no last name, Jenny Mansfield, Amanda Press, Desiree with no last name, Katie Chaston, Ed's Breads, Lucianne Altman Newell, John Landeros, Zach Schneider, Loser Lion, Cara Donna, Amanda Kittleson, Charlie Ramos, Nayberry with no last name, Samantha Imanis, Nicholas LeBlanc, Barbara Butler, Jared Smith, Julia Sheets, Angela.
Jesus.
Angela Forbes, Matthew Kirkland, Christine Hahn, Elizabeth Siddle, Rob Coulter, Kendon Mockett, Stephanie Squiglia, Joe and Stacy Halfley, Abigail Rose, Rebecca Thomas, Mr. Aislinn, Wells, Shannon Chauncey, Cameron Lemieux, I think, Lucas Fuxel.
Yeah, probably.
I want it to be Fuxel so bad.
Oh, yeah.
And all of our
Fuxel.
patrons, you guys are amazing.
Thank you so much, everyone, for all that you do for us. Honestly, we can't do anything without you, and we appreciate your support, and we appreciate everything. We appreciate you wanting the extra content on Patreon. Thank you so much for doing that. If you want to get a hold of either of us on social media, very easy to do that. You can do it. Go right to shutupandgivememurder.com. There's links to everything there. You can do that while you're buying tickets to live shows. Hang out with us. Keep doing it. Keep coming back. We'll be back over and over again, live from the Crime and Sports Studios. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.